Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is a very special episode of the Commander's Brew.
Our set review of Dominaria.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 142 of the Commander's Brew podcast, the Dominaria set review.
Wow, this set was made for us Commander players.
Ooh, yeah.
Normally on this show, you'd hear us brew up a deck. We'd come at you with $50 or less. But this, every now and then when the set comes out, we do a set review show, which is a little bit different. We're going to take our take on all the legendaries, which is usually about 8.
Yep.
Now it's a lot more. All the possible commanders and, you know, other cards that we think will be great for the commander format. We're not going to go over every card because most of them are probably uninteresting to us.
I mean, we're going to go over pretty much close to it, though.
Because there's so many legendary creatures. It's true.
Yeah.
We're brought to you by the Wizard Tower, wizardtower.com. Great place to buy Magic singles. You can also go there to get Ultimate Guard sleeves and boxes, another proud sponsor of ours. And of course, we couldn't do any of this without you, the patrons, if you are listening and a patron. When I say you and you're not a patron, if you want to consider donating, it's great. We have fun in the Discord chat for as low as $1 and lots of perks above that. In addition, I got to talk about this Kickstarter we got coming up, right, Andy? Battle of the Brews?
Yeah, it's happening right now. Kickstarter for Battle of the Brews, our new YouTube series, which is going to be a Commander gameplay series. So yeah, you can go check it out. There's still lots of goals to be hit within that Kickstarter, and there's lots of rewards there, exclusive rewards that you can only get through the Kickstarter, which includes like special art tokens designed by Matt Strott. We've got playmats. We've got coffee mugs, which is really cool because that's like the Commander's Brew. You get it?
Yeah, you brew coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And and yeah, I mean, again, like Battle of the Brews t-shirts and Battle of the Brews stuff like that. There's still the opportunity to like be the voice of the show, which means you introduce the segments, like that's your voice doing it. You can brew a deck with us that will actually appear on the show, and then we'll actually do on this show as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, go check it out. The link is on our Twitter. It's in our bio on Twitter and like Instagram and all that kind of stuff. You can definitely just check out our Twitter feed at Commander's Brew. You'll find it in there.
Yeah,
easily.
And if you're thinking of donating, you have until May the 3rd is when it all closes.
And if you have already donated, you know what? It just helps to share it. If you haven't shared it yet, consider doing it for us. Also, you know what? Since we're in business mode, rating and reviewing on iTunes is very helpful for podcasts.
Yeah.
So might as well. We haven't mentioned that one in a long time, but it's very, very important. So there's lots of stuff you can do to help us out, but you know what? It's time for us to help you out. But before that, we're going to get to a Wizard's Tower ad.
Here we go. Hey, if you're like me and you're excited that Dominaria got mended back together and you got a rip in your pants, you're going to want to come down to the Mending of Dominaria's Pants. It's my tailor shop. How many legs do you have? We can mend it. How many arms do you have? We can mend it. Are you a knight that got into a big fight and then you ripped your armor? We can mend it. Come on down and we'll mend any clothes of any armor of any kind. I mean, we should probably have some sort of card about it, but we don't. But we have a store. Come on down in Dominaria. Also go over to the Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com. You can buy singles and get them shipped anywhere in Canada for free if you spend $15 or more. Not only that, you can use coupon code ILOVEBREWS and you can get an extra 5% off. Also, you get 3% kickback on your next order. And if you kick real hard and rip the butt of your pants, we can mend it. I think that's a clever move on that shop's part.
Yes, that shop. That is a smart move for them to do.
I mean,
a bold strategy. Even
I think it's a great name for a tailor's shop on Dominaria.
Yes, of
You know,
course.
considering they went through that huge mending. That was
Yes,
a big...
the mending. Yeah, of course. I mean, when
They mend holes in
I'm
your
not
pants.
sure if yeah, it wasn't exactly that type of mending, but any type of mending, I'm sure, is welcomed on Dominaria.
Stores love joke names.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, great. So yeah, like I said, now it's time for us to help you out, and that includes us going through a lot of the cards from this new set and telling you what we think of them, what we think of them in Commander, what kind of decks they look like they're going to be good in, and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
this is a long episode. This is going to be a long one because, again, there's a ton of legendary stuff, not just creatures anymore, not just permanents. We got legendary sorceries, all kinds of stuff. So let's get right into it because, again, like I said, this is going to take a while.
So first thing we would do is go over any new mechanics introduced in the set. We're going to talk about these mechanics in a commander perspective. Are they going to be good for us? The big new one is the sagas. They're all these weird enchantments that go through phases. They're sort of like, they're really a lot like the contraptions from, what's it called?
Unstable.
Like,
they are kind of like that.
Every turn a new thing happens, only they don't loop around to the beginning. They just keep going. So an example of one is Phyrexian Scriptures, 2 black. So you cast this for 2 black, and it says, as this saga and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sacrifice after part 3. So when you cast it, you get the first one, and then 2 more draw steps, you get the other 2 effects. I think they're all 3. I don't think there's any non-3s.
Yeah, no, they're all 3.
And then it's gone. You sacrifice it. So Phyrexian Scriptures, the first one that you get right away is put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Okay, so it's 4 mana for a 1/1 counter. Not worth it. But next you get destroy all non-artifact creatures. So on your next turn, you get to wrath everything that's not an artifact. And then on your third turn, you exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. Not bad. Nice little cleanup after you made the mess, then you clean it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this new card type, really, and new design. It's like vertical art. It's really neat. One thing I learned from listening to the Limited Resources Rules show is that you can't respond to the lore counter going on. That does not use the stack. The lore counter just appears. That's it.
Nice.
So
good to know.
You can't get rid of it before the lore counter comes on again in response or something like that. It doesn't use the stack.
Now, our format is a longer format. We tend, unless you're playing very competitive, we tend to have a few more turns. So there's a very good chance these will stick around for a couple of turns. The only downside I see to it is that your opponents can see every step coming. They get to play around, and usually the big ones that you want are kind of near the end.
Yeah.
So usually I'm not playing this for the first ability. I just want it for the end. And I personally don't think... I'd rather probably just pay an extra mana, or maybe even less, and use the sorcery version of whatever it's doing, whatever thing I care about.
It's interesting that it also the lore counters appear on after the draw step. It's not using an upkeep,
Yes.
so you can't speed these up with extra upkeeps or some stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
There's only that one card that does that. But anyways, but this is without getting into. Yeah, well, I guess we're going to talk about some of them right here. But, we got Phyrexian Scriptures right in front of us. I think this is probably the best one for Commander.
I don't know. It might be. I don't love it. Destroy all non-artifact creatures is a big drawback. There's some decks out there that it won't touch.
Yeah, I would like this in my Brea deck, obviously. Most Brea decks would love this, I'd imagine. So I think... But this is the Mythic one, which is kind of interesting. It's this is... The top power that we're going to get here is basically just a 4-mana board wipe that takes 2 turns to happen.
It's not even a board wipe. You're going to miss any Wormcoil engines.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to miss Battle Sphere, Mere Battle Sphere.
You might be happy about missing Wormcoil engines with it, but anyways.
Maybe.
Maybe. Anyway, so yeah, this is how it works. This is the new card type. It's kind of even a little bit good point saying that it's it's like the contraptions. It's also kind of like a planeswalker a little bit.
Yeah, something happens. It's weird. It's interesting. I like it.
Let's see some of the other ones. These generally, I agree with, Sean wrote in our notes here that they're not great in Commander, and I agree with you. I think they're not all that good, but we have highlighted a few. It's a new card type. It's exciting. People want to use them. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at another one, Song of Frailes. 1 and a green. So we'll just talk. We won't read this part at the beginning of everything that says put the lore counter on. 1, 2, and then 3, and then we sack it at the end, right? So 1 and 2 are the same for Song of Freyalise. Until your next turn, creatures you control gain tap, add 1 mana of any color. That's for both 1 and 2. So that's giving you some ramp, probably, depending on when you cast this. And then
it's
3,
like 2-turn Cryptolith, right?
Yeah, and then 3 is put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible until end of turn. So it's a really good like Anthem, and because it's counters, it's kind of like the Anthem does stick around a little bit. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
those abilities, the Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible, only stick there till end of turn. So I don't know. This one's not awful. I could see this being in specific decks. It's not going to be a staple or anything.
I feel for me this one's better for modes 1 and 2. If I've got if I want Cryptolith right in a go wide deck, I might put one of these in as a backup. I don't expect to get to part 3. I expect a Board Wrath to hit before they let me get to that stage.
But hopefully you've ramped up enough mana to do something cool. Hopefully in those first 2 turns.
Yeah.
And this is should be noted too that this is an uncommon. These aren't rares or anything. This is an uncommon. Next we have, you want to read this one? Yeah.
Sure, the Antiquities War, 3 and a blue. So if you cast 4 mana, one of them blue, and you get 2, 1 and 2 are the same by coincidence. You get to look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom in a random order. So for 2 turns, you kind of get extra value of some sort of artifact off the top. If you're an artifact deck, great. And then the third one is, artifacts you control become artifact creatures with base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. That could be a very serious, if this is you're the kind of tinkery little, not literally tinker, but like a trinkety tiny artifact deck. This could turn into something scary. But again, is this worth building around? I'm not sure.
Yeah, this turns all your Thopters into 5/5s. Because it doesn't say non-creature artifacts you control. It's just all artifacts, right? So even your little artifacts get bigger. So that's interesting. The added value is good. I'd probably consider running this in an artifact deck.
It's so hard. I have no idea how these would work in a game. It's just impossible to predict. You just got to try them and see how they work.
For the first 2 turns, it's just kind of draw an extra card that hopefully will be an artifact. Hopefully you'll draw the card. I guess it's not a guarantee, but if you're loaded up with a lot of artifacts in your deck, this should be pretty good, I think.
There's just something about the fact that your opponents have 3 turns to react before the good stuff happens, right? You're spending 4 mana to draw 2 artifacts out of the top, 10 cards over 2 turns.
The one thing I do like about these is that they are recurable. If you have any enchantment recursion, permanent or permanent recursion, you can get these back and have them pay off. So I think enchantment decks are going to love them. That's for sure.
Ooh, I haven't looked to see if any white ones are 3 mana or less for our pal Sun Titan.
Ooh, well, we've already mentioned 2 green ones, and the green-white enchantress deck might care about them. But here's another green one: the Mending of Dominaria, 3 green. Phases 1 and 2 are the same. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And then the third one is return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Shuffle your graveyard into your library. Cool. Would you include this in the deck that this should go in, like Gitrog Monster? Or I think this is probably okay for Gitrog, right? Maybe it's too slow though.
I don't know.
For 5 mana too, this.
In Gitrog, you're getting mana when you mill your lands yourself. I think you get when you mill too, right?
Yeah, I think it's from anywhere. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, so that you're gonna mill and get a creature back. That's not bad. It's expensive for what it is. Again, I just don't know. If this is on the battlefield, I worry it might draw a lot of hate from your opponents. It's we got to stop you before you get to part 3, and then you can do infinity things.
Would you though, or would you go it's going to be a one-time effect, and then it's sacrificed? I'll save my enchantment removal for, the Mind's Dilation or the Doubling Season. That's
You're not wrong, but returning all land cards from the graveyard to the battlefield is significant in a deck that has a graveyard that's just filling up.
That's true.
I don't know. I really have no idea how it'll play because of the telegraphable nature of them all.
I have a feeling people are just going to let these happen, and they're going to let them die because there's like, it's, I don't know. I mean, that might be a mistake. I'm not saying that's the right move, but I think we're sort of, it's like, as commander players, you might be like, okay, well, that thing's going to die by itself. You're going to get a big effect, but then maybe I can do something to that effect once it's happened. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe. Anyways. We got one more here that we want to talk about.
Yes, the Murari conjecture, 4 and a blue, so that you cast it for 5 and you get 1. Return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. You know, that's a mnemonic wall. That's not bad. We don't get a body with it, but we get it again. Next part 2, return target sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. I guess technically mnemonic wall can get anything. Yeah. You got to get 2 over 2 turns, different types. And then 3, until end of turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets. That's a pretty good 3.
Yeah, 5 mana is a lot, but it replaces itself essentially if you have the instant in there. Then you're drawing an extra card from the sorcery that you got back as well. And then then you just get this cool bonus. But I just think there's like, I don't know if I would put this in because of what you're saying, because it's like, 2 turns before I'm allowed to copy something, and they can just get rid of it before. I don't know. These are tough to evaluate.
I know, right? Listen to how much. I'd be curious to look back and listen to how many times we both went,
Because like, obviously it's good, right? It's 1 card, you get 3 effects. Like, that's pretty good. You gotta just from that, that's pretty good. 5 mana is not cheap, but it's not so much for 5 effects, right? Like, for 3 effects. Like, 3 effects are for 5 mana. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to, like, the great thing about the sagas is that on the 3rd turn, when you get usually your gangbusters move, you don't pay any mana for it to happen. So you get to untap with your full land base and then start copying instants and sorceries. So, I mean, that does sound primed and ready to go. Yeah,
that's true. You know what? I think, obviously they're all situational because they all want to go in different types of decks. But you know what? I think in general, these are going to be pretty useful, pretty good. Even better, obviously, if the deck cares about enchantments and can recur them. So, like in a white-green deck, I think you're going to be pretty happy to run these. Interestingly enough, we didn't even talk about any of the white ones, but that's because they're not that good.
No.
But yeah, these I also looked at these, and I think these are definitely the best ones. So you got 2 blue ones, 2 green ones, and a black one, and one of them is mythic. Yeah. Anyways, I think you know what? I think they're going to turn out to be pretty good, because I do think they're a little more like planeswalkers than we give them credit for, right? You're going to cast it, you're going to get an immediate effect, which is going to be pretty decent. Then you're going to just get 2 free effects, and I don't think people are going to, unless it's going to like lose them the game or something, I don't think people are going to be that concerned with killing them, since they do sacrifice themselves. People are going to be like, well, it's going to be gone in 2 turns, so I'm not going to waste my... I'm not going to waste my whatever, naturalize or whatever.
Concerned in killing them or concerned in killing you to deal with them.
Exactly. And if you're like, well, I'm going to get rid of it. And like, well, hang on, I won't kill you with it. And it's like, okay, well, you do whatever you want then.
Here we go.
Political moves, right? You got to be political
like
with it. And it's obviously these are not like planeswalkers in that you have to attack them. So like, I think people are just going to be like, yeah, well, it's going to be gone in a turn, so who cares? I really think that's going to happen.
Well, I'm gonna put a couple in a couple of decks. We'll see.
We'll see, right? Yeah, we'll check them out.
Okay, we got a new type of spell. Do you want to lead us into this, Andy?
Yeah, we've got legendary sorceries. This is interesting. Legendary sorceries. The idea with them is that they must be played with a legendary creature or planeswalker in play. And now, since all planeswalkers are legendary, that means like any legendary planeswalker is just a planeswalker. So if you have a legendary creature or a planeswalker in play, you can play them. Otherwise, you can't even cast them. And obviously, like, these are going to be easy to cast in Commander because we have commanders. We have our legendary creature at our beck and call at any point during the game.
We
mostly
technically do, but those commanders often get dealt with, and it would suck if your commander got dealt with, and then this is a dead spell in your hand.
Yeah, I mean it'd be I think you're generally pretty safe to put these in your commander decks. However, do you even want to? Are they good enough? Well, that's a big question.
I don't know.
I know, me neither. Let's talk about one. let's talk about one, and then we'll use it to frame the discussion about them. So
Sure.
we highlighted Kamal's Druidic Vow. It's an X spell, X green green. It's a legendary sorcery, so you can only cast it if you have a legendary creature or planeswalker. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of land and or legendary permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest into your graveyard. So this is Genesis Wave for a less green, but you can only, the permanents you're allowed to put are only legendary.
Yeah.
So any planeswalkers will now hit. Yeah, I mean, and obviously any other legendary things you have, but I don't think that's very good. You kind of almost have to look at this as a land ramp spell only, kind of. And if you hit anything else, that's just kind of a bonus. Obviously, unless you're like piloting a Captain Sisay deck or something where it's all legendaries or something.
You know, and since Genesis Wave got the price drop from being reprinted in Iconic Masters, I just don't see any reason to play this card. It's 1 mana cheaper, but you don't get artifacts. They couldn't have said historic spells. Like, would that have been so bad?
I know.
They got a huge boner for historic spells now, and they don't even just put it on this one. Come on, man.
Yeah, so this is... I just don't know about this card. I mean, if you cast this for like 6, X equals 4, you're probably not going to hit any legendaries. You might hit, 2 lands? Is that worth it?
Nope.
You don't have to put them in tapped.
I'd run Animist Awakening in instead at this point, if that's all I'm expecting.
Animist Awakening, which is the X and single green to put all land cards from among them on your battlefield tapped. So it's, you're right. I mean, that's kind of better. I mean, again, Kamal's Druidic Vow, if you hit a bunch of lands, they don't come into play tapped, which is good.
Well, Animist Awakening also untaps them if you have Spell Mastery.
Oh, yes. I just literally brought the card up and didn't even read that.
I don't know. I feel like Kamal's Druidic Vow is like nestled into 2 cards that are better for their intended purpose. And the fact that it can be a dead card also is a tough blow.
Yeah, if you draw this, you can't just cast it. If you don't have your commander out, you have to first cast your commander and then cast this, which I think you're right. That's set up that I don't want to have to do, really.
I haven't read the rules specifics of legendary sorceries, but could you copy them and put another copy on the stack, or does one of them immediately get countered because of the legendary rule?
I think... Oh, that's an excellent question. I don't think the legendary in this... I think the legendary rule is about permanence. Something with the same name being on the battlefield. I don't think it has to do with the stack. So I think you could copy these and have them appear on the stack together.
And I guess I didn't really look in the rules. Is this a new type? Is this a new spell type for counting types of cards in your graveyard?
I don't think so. I think it still counts as a sorcery.
Okay.
Because legendary isn't in the graveyard, right? Like for Tarmogoyf,
yeah,
whatever, right?
I have real problems with this. I have real problems with the fact that they want to get all fancy with historic when like artifacts are just fun. Like you could have just said artifacts and legendary things, and now they got to go and say legendary sorcery, which confuses the idea of legendary, because the whole point of legendary is there can't be 2, but of course there can't be 2. It's a sorcery. How do you put 2?
Yeah, I guess they're going for more of the story side of legendary as opposed to the strict rules side of it, right?
Well, okay, fine.
I did want to just quickly talk about the white one, which I think is like maybe the other kind of playable one. Urza's Ruinous Blast, 4 and a white. That's a legendary sorcery that says exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. Okay, so like if you have your commander out, you're not going to exile your own commander, which is kind of cool. This will probably hit a lot of stuff. So I think this one is the most begrudgingly playable of them. But that being said, like, you still need to wait to get your commander out. And then if you're trying to wipe the board because someone's commander is being problematic, well, this is not going to do it. So I think you're better off just running a regular board wipe. Just run Fumigate or End Hostilities or something.
Yeah, Hallowed Burial.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, it's the reason I don't like this card that much. I don't like the one that lets everyone leave one creature out. It's like, well, I'm trying to get rid of the one creature. Like, I'm trying to get rid of the one thing that has hexproof and, protection from whatever. It's like,
everything else is bonus.
Yeah, exactly. The only way I can do that is with the board wipe. Oh, great. I have a board wipe that lets him keep one guy alive. Like, forget it. No thanks. Yeah. So, I mean, this one I think is possibly playable, but I kind of think these are just going to live inside of like legendary tribal commander decks, which I think we're going to see more of, considering how many things we have now that care about legendary. I think we're going to actually see more of them. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, this is a little quick thing I added in here, because actually we do have some tribal matters, and I think maybe going forward for set reviews, we tend to just ignore cards that are only good in tribal things, because that's only one kind of deck they're good in.
That's true.
But I think it's worth just pointing out, for example, that like, hey, there are tribal synergies in this set, and here's one of the cards that kind of highlights it. So kind of like we're doing here. So
great.
Because tribal's a big thing in Commander. Lots of people love tribal decks. There are tribes in Dominaria. We're not out of the woods yet. Out of Ixalan. There are 3 tribes that are that you will care about in Dominaria when it comes to Commander or otherwise. We've got sapling / fungus, and that is represented here by Spore Crown Thallid. It's a 1 and a green 2/2. It's a little fungus guy, and he says each other creature you control that's a fungus or sapling gets +1/+1. So that's kind of fun.
He's cute too.
Yeah, he is cute. He doesn't have a head or a face, but he's pretty cute.
Yeah.
The next tribe we will care about is wizards, which is a pretty popular commander tribe, I think, actually, these days. And might go along quite well with the stuff we saw from the last commander set. For example, we have a card here, Wizard's Retort, which is 1 blue. Counter target spell, but the spell costs 1 colorless less if you control a wizard. So it's basically another counter spell for you wizard decks out there.
Nice.
And finally, we have knights. So things we'll care about knights. And check this one out. This is a mythic, and it's obviously a mythic for, like, I don't know, I guess maybe constructed or limited or something.
You know what? I think it's mythic because they wanted to make a cycle or something. Like they wanted a mythic of every color of, I don't know.
Like this, I mean, this is great in limited, and I don't know about constructed just because I don't know about it. But this is definitely this is probably not a commander card unless you care about knights. Oh yeah, and by the way, fungus and saplings are in green-black, wizards are in red-blue, and knights are in white-black. And the history of Benalia is this one here. It's the 1 white. It's one of the sagas, and on the first 2 things, you create a 2/2 white knight creature with vigilance, and on the third one, knights you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Even arguably not that good in Commander. But yeah, those are the tribes you'll care about, and you'll see cards. You'll see some in the legendary section here coming up. But I just wanted to point out that those are the tribes you will care about, and you'll find some cards for your tribal decks in this set for sure.
Great. Okay, so now let's go into the good stuff. Let's go into the legendaries. Buckle up, because we got a lot of them. Some of them we will spend significantly less time on than others, because I do think the power level of the average legendary is lower, because you can't make crazy bonkers ones at uncommon. So, starting up in white and alphabetical order, we get the one that we got to preview. This is Baird Stewart of Argive. If you watched our Kickstarter video on that, you heard us all talk about this guy. But 2 white, 2/4 legendary human soldier with vigilance. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. It's like a mini ghostly prison on a stick. I'm a fan.
Yep, not much more to say about it. Like Sean said, half a ghostly prison. Pretty solid. Probably throw this one in your soldiers decks. Unlikely to be a great commander on his own, but pretty solid in some 99 and some Pillow Fort style decks and things like that.
Yeah, Pillow Forts would love another effect like this. Mm-hmm. Who's next?
Next we have Denofa Capuchin Paragon. 2 white for a 2/2 legendary human knight. First strike, vigilance, lifelink. Aura and equipment spells you cast cost 1 colorless less to cast. I like this again as another 99 card as opposed to, a commander. I think if you're going to, this is a great ability. I actually love all of these abilities, but I think if you're going to have this be your commander, you're probably better off just having SRAM. You know what I mean? If you're going to make a mono white aura / equipment deck, you're just going to have SRAM be the commander. He's much better.
The Denofa is SRAM's right-hand soldier,
to be sure. You know who else? Actually, she's a knight. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. I got to give her the rank.
But she is a right-hand woman to another soldier
Who's that?
Oh, I believe you know.
Audric?
Audric.
Why? How
What do you
know?
mean? First strike, vigilance, lifelink.
Oh, that I thought this
Audric.
was a. Yes, I know. I was thinking there was some sort of like Audric showed up on Dominaria, like there's something about Innistrad in the art. I was thinking Vorthosi.
Oh,
yes.
okay. No.
Yes. Audric, Lunarch Marshal, share those abilities among everybody. That's excellent.
That's sweet. Exactly. Anytime you get 3 on there for that Audric, it's great. So actually, I really like this card for Commander. I think it's great. I think you're obviously going to see this in a lot of Voltron decks, and throw it in your Audric decks as well.
Great. Next up is Evra, Halcyon Witness. 4 white for a legendary avatar, 4/4 lifelink, and then for 4, no taps, exchange your life total with Evra, Halcyon Witness's power. Interesting. So you don't get to mess around with other people, you just get to trade your life total with it. I don't know. I guess you could pump up her power using like... Oh, here it just occurred to me here. When you put +1/+1 counters on this creature, it goes on top of its printed power. So if you can get a ton of counters on it, then you trade for its power, and then when you trade back to it, its power would go up.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the biggest thing, and it's actually I kind of missed it until now, is that this is exchange your life total with its power, right? And this card has lifelink. So, like, if I'm at 30 life, and I switch it up with Evra...
Oh, and right before a hit.
As she's attacking, whatever this thing hits is going to do 30 damage, gain me 30 life, so now all of a sudden my life total's 34, right?
Yeah.
And then now Evra's will stay, because it's exchange. It's not like an ongoing thing. Like, it just stays as that. But that's... pretty crazy. I mean, you get a rogue's passage on this. If you're at any kind of life total above any of your opponents, they're just dead. If you got the mana for it, obviously,
that's fun. I never thought of that.
And like basically just like you only need to do this once, so you gain your life back, and all of a sudden you and Evra now have this huge life total / power. Yeah. This card is when I first looked at this, I was like, this is not good. Why do I ever want to have 4 life, or why do I ever want to have like 4 as my life total?
Because you want to give Evra huge
and I didn't
power.
I didn't even think of that, and then I didn't even think of the lifelink until now. So like,
yeah, and then we're talking double strike. Now we're talking all kinds. Let's do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we're talking all kinds of things. So this card has a lot of potential, quite a high ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be wary of that 4 damage spell, or if you do the exchange and then it gets killed, before it can hit the lifelink, you might be in some serious trouble there. So high risk, high reward, I would say with that.
That's my kind of card.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it looks like a lot of fun.
Okay, who's next?
Next we have Quende, Pride of Femeref. Legendary Human Knight is another knight here. A 2/2 double strike. Creatures you control with first strike have double strike. Cool.
Doubles you up.
Worth it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This I guess works interestingly enough with like the what's the thing from Theros that gives everything first strike and doesn't
Archetype of Courage.
Archetype of Courage. That's it. That's kind of a cool little combo. Give everything double strike that way.
I think if your commander had first strike and you were like all about your commander attacking, this would be an excellent lieutenant.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be an immensely valuable commander card. I think you'll see it pop up in a few decks. Probably like you said, like ones where your commander has first strike natively, and then
Aurelia.
Yeah. Aurelia has first strike, really?
Aurelia has first strike and vigilance and haste.
Wow.
So then she'll have double strike, vigilance, and... Hey, am I wrong? Hang on. Now I got to double check.
Is it Aurelia? Or does Gisela have first strike? No.
Aurelia has flying, vigilance, and haste. No first strike. My mistake. So it doesn't help.
Oh, okay. What about Gisela? Gisela does have first strike. Wow, that's...
ugly.
That's ugly, yeah.
Yep.
Double strike for 10, like that's it. You're just wow. All right, anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think outside of those types of decks though, you won't see this guy run too often.
Nah.
maybe in the Night Tribal deck that I think you could make now because of this set.
Okay, next
what's
up, we've got Lyra Dawnbringer. 3 white for a mythic legendary angel, 5/5, flying, first strike, lifelink. Other angels you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. So this is functionally identical to Baneslayer Angel, except that it pumps other angels instead of getting protection from dragons and demons. I'm not sure which is. I mean, if you're going Angels Tribal, obviously Lyra's better. But I mean, sometimes protection from dragons and demons is legit in our format.
Yeah, sometimes it makes sense. It's true. I mean, I guess I've only really played with Baneslayer Angel in Cube, and it doesn't come up very often in Cube. That's for sure.
No, the Cube isn't built up to really take advantage of it.
Yeah,
but man, you know, there's a couple of now that this Dragons Tribal came on the precons, I bet you Baneslayer does a lot of extra work these days.
Yeah, it's true. I like this card. I think this card's even good outside of Angel Tribal. Like if you've got anything that make Angel tokens in your maybe your Tristani deck or something, or again, this might even also be another decent card for that object deck. Flying, first strike, and lifelink. I mean, that's 3 keywords that are pretty solid.
Coming in pretty pricey so far.
Yeah, this one looks like it might be. It's a mythic, so yeah, this one looks like it might be one of the heavy hitters. Although I could actually see this going down a bit because it's at $11, and I don't know. I mean, obviously it's pretty good, but I think people are stoked about it because it's like Baneslayer.
Yeah, Baneslayer is a force to be reckoned with in Commander. I mean, in Standard.
In Standard, yeah.
Anyways.
I think it's going to be good, and I think you're probably going to see this pop up in a couple decks. Like I said, those token decks are going to like this. Next we have Shalai, Voice of Plenty. 3 and a white for a legendary angel. 3/4 flying. You planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof, and then you can pay 4 green to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Arguably not white. Arguably Selesnya.
Yeah, exactly.
Its identity is not white.
Only able to go in Selesnya decks, which is kind of interesting because this ability of giving everything you control have hexproof, it feels like that is a green-white thing. That's like a green thing anyway. So if it was just white, it would be cool, but the fact that they have included the green on there
I wish it was just white so we could get this effect in other decks. But, I mean, if my deck's running green, I'm already running that archetype of hexproof, the green one, probably.
Well, I would argue now you're probably running this instead of that. If it's green and cheaper. White. Yeah, because it's just a lot cheaper.
Yep. Not bad.
I think it's great. I mean, this also hexproofs. I mean, I guess now everything does. I think if you have hexproof now, I think... No, I guess maybe not. Anyways, there's a rule change with now how damage is done to planeswalkers. You now have to target planeswalkers.
Yeah, you don't have to redirect it. So giving yourself hexproof doesn't protect your planeswalkers anymore.
Right. So I'm wondering did they errata all the you have hexproof stuff to you and planeswalkers have hexproof?
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they did either. So this is an interesting way to get that. I mean, who cares about planeswalkers really, unless you have a Super Friends deck, but
yeah,
this is just good.
In which case, put it in Super Friends.
But this is good in like Abzan graveyard stuff because giving yourself hexproof is very good. It makes it very difficult for people to exile your graveyards that way, and obviously giving your creatures hexproof is good. I like this card a lot.
Okay, good. Yeah. Next up, Tishar, Ancestors Apostle, 3 and a white for a legendary bird cleric. It is 2/2 with flying. Whenever you cast a historic spell, that is to say any legendary, any artifact, or any I guess planeswalkers are legendary.
Sagas.
So, sagas, yeah. Why didn't they just make those legendary? Then they wouldn't have to say, like, historic is just such a muddy idea.
You can have more than one.
Okay. Anyway, whenever you cast a historic spell, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So whenever you cast an artifact, that's the easiest thing to cast, that's the most abundant historic type. You get to return a creature with mana cost 3 or less. There are lots of 0 mana artifacts, and there are lots of 3 CMC creatures or less that return an artifact or permanent to your hand, which means with a sack outlet, you can loop that infinitely. I don't know what you do with that infinite loop, but you can...
There's something in blue you can do, actually, that I didn't even highlight, but maybe I should have, because I didn't think we'd be talking about infinite artifact spells, but, like... Anyways, we'll get there.
Okay. You got to have something that's 0, like a ever-flowing chalice, or, even in theory, like a basalt monolith, something that can like land and then tap for its own mana and pay for itself again. Of course, Sol Ring, you're making money.
Obviously, this is going to be good in artifact decks. Straight up. Cool. That's white.
Yeah.
I actually think there's like a lot of good stuff. Obviously, these are monocolor, so like they're not going to be great as commanders in general. But I think there's some decent stuff in here for the 99 of other decks, right?
You know what, Evra? You sold me on Evra. I want to try that. Trade your life total and then just bump it up. I want to do that. Yeah. Maybe that's an addition to the play with life totals deck.
Oh, that is interesting. Oh wow, yeah, that's fun. Okay, all right. Let's get on to blue here.
Okay, who's up first?
Blue. First, we have Naban, Dean of Iteration. 1 on a blue for a human wizard, legendary. 2/1. If a wizard entering the battlefield under your control causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So it is a Panharmonicon only for wizards entering the battlefield. But even if it causes something else to trigger, it will trigger that. So like,
as long as the creature is a wizard.
Yeah, that's entering.
Yeah, then other things that see it entering and trigger will trigger twice.
Yes.
So this seems like it wants that spell that turns all your cards into one creature type, call them wizards, then you go nuts. Again, we tried to do that with the secret Gishath, turn everything into dinosaurs. It's really hard to do.
Yeah, you're probably just going to throw this in a wizard deck and have it be really good.
I just don't know how many cool wizard triggers there are.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, how many ETB wizard effects are there? Most of the wizards have activated abilities that tap, I know.
Yeah, which is the opposite of this guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
what do you expect?
I can't remember too much about the precon, the wizard precon, but I think that was also based a lot on tapping and untapping.
It was, which was a strange synergy because of the effect of bringing your wizards, making a token copy of your wizards, but a lot of them didn't have ETB effects. It was just to give them haste to tap once, but it exiled it. It was an awkward. There was some awkward anti-synergies there, and I don't know that Naban seems a bit of an anti-synergy as well, because I feel like ETBs are not the thing that wizards are. They're more taps. However, what do you expect from what appears to be Audric's evil cousin or something?
Yeah. Naban, it's you. Thought I banished you to the nether realm.
That was another iteration of me.
I think this guy could be a good commander, because I think what you could do is build a bunch of stuff that cares about creatures entering, just in general, and then make all the creatures wizards so that you're getting that doubled effect. The only thing that I would then be like, oh, but that's probably not even that good, is because it's a monocolored. It's only blue. You can only have blue and maybe like artifact stuff that cares. I don't know. Try and make that happen. I think there is a deck here where this guy's the commander though.
So I did a Scryfall search for anything with type wizard and anything that had the phrase "whenever this enters the battlefield." Mm-hmm. There is only a single card, and it is Derevi Imperial Tactician.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Naban.
Not great, Naban. Not great. Derevi's a good commander, but yeah, that's not going to help you out. Okay, well, I mean, it's still to be seen, I suppose. Maybe we can take a look at this and build.
So maybe this is the wizard then. Maybe it's Narumeha, Master Wizard, 2 blue, legendary human wizard, is a 3/3 with flash. I like flash on a creature, on a commander is great too. When Narumeha, Master Wizard, enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Other wizards you control get +1/+1. Again, it's so weird to me because wizards are not an attacky tribe necessarily. So to give your wizards +1/+1 seems so weird to me.
Yeah.
Wizards don't want +1/+1. They want other things.
Yeah. It feels like that's definitely something for like limited and constructed, I suppose. I don't know.
It's so weird.
Yeah. I think this is a good card, though. It essentially is like dual caster. It's like the blue dual caster mage, kind of, right?
Sure. Except it has to be a spell you control.
Yes. Yeah. It does.
Which is a significant downside.
Yep, significant downside. Agreed. Although we can double it up with our boy Naban.
Why didn't this come up when I did the Scryfall search? This should have.
Because you said...
Oh, because it's when. I said whenever. Oh, I got to change it to when. Okay, so there might be a few more.
When card name enters the battlefield.
Rollback. Oh, yeah, there's tons of them. There's 115.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then, so just going for the top favorites, according to EDH Rec Rank, and only going for blue ones. Let's say we'll only go for blue. Top ones are things like Archaeomancer, getting back 2 spells from the graveyard.
That's really good. I love Archaeomancer.
Mage, getting 2 things.
Yeah.
Snapcaster Mage, come on.
Okay, so now we're talking some great cards here.
Yeah.
We're talking some good stuff. Okay, so like I said, I think there may be a deck there for Naban, actually. A mono blue Wizards ETB style deck. Could be there.
Of course there's ETB Wizards. How did I for a second forget that all these bounce wizards and like tutor wizards?
Cool. Let's get to this next one here. We got Slyn Voda, the Rising Deep. 6. No set is complete without a giant blue creature that no one will ever play. 6 blue. 6 blue for an 8/8. So 8 mana for an 8/8. It has kicker 1 and a blue. When Slyn Voda, the Rising Deep, enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return all creatures to their owner's hands except for merfolk, krakens, leviathans, octopuses, and serpents. So
that's too expensive.
It's too expensive. It costs 10. But you do get an 8/8, and you return everything unless they have a merfolk and or sea monster deck, which is probably this is the only deck that's going to go in. So I don't think you're going to see it very often. Merfolk might be a concern. But you know what I realized the other day? I was looking at a deck of mine, and I was like, what's the thing that makes squid? Oh, Chasm Skulker. They make all the little squids. I'm like, why does Whelming Wave, which is the sorcery version of this, which basically just returns everything except for krakens, leviathans, octopuses, and serpents. So now they've included merfolk in there. Well, why do those cards return squids? Shouldn't squids also be exempt? You know what I mean?
They should.
Because those squid cards really lose out if you want to include them in a sea monster deck. You can't, you just can't. You ruin all your squids.
Sorry, squiddies.
So my little squiddies aren't so happy. So I think, like I said, this is only going to go in sea monster decks. Maybe in a merfolk deck. Maybe. I don't even think so, though.
I think the only other deck this goes in is a weird theme deck where all the cards seem to be named after members of a heavy metal band.
Slyn Voda. The Norwegian death metal master, Slyn Voda. Bro, Slyn Voda, the rise again. They're Slyn Voda's first solo album, The Rising Deep.
The Rising Deep. Oh man, you know what? This card went from I don't care about it to I love this card.
Please, someone Photoshop Slyn Voda, The Rising Deep, the metal album for us. That'd be amazing. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got next here?
Okay, next up, 1 and a blue to get Tetsuko Umazawa Fugitive. Legendary human rogue, 1/3. Creatures you control with power or toughness, 1 or less, can't be blocked. So my first question is, whose Jite is it now? Is it this guy or the other Umazawa?
What's that?
Is there 2 Umazawas now?
Yes, I think this is a descendant.
Oh, so he probably inherited the Jite.
Yeah, does he have the Jite?
There's Toshiro Umazawa,
yeah.
And then...
My ancestor Toshiro used to say, life is a series of choices between bad and worse. I'm a master of making great bad choices.
Oh.
Now, if anyone here is familiar with the WWE, you might recognize Tetsuko Umazawa. That's right. Anyone familiar with NXT? You know that Tetsuko Umazawa has the same haircut and kind of the same pants shirt thing also as Shinsuke Nakamura. I just thought that it was this person was inspired by Shinsuke Nakamura a little bit. Maybe I should show
Cool.
a picture of Shinsuke. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think this card is kind of cool, but and you'll probably throw it in your Edric decks, right?
Yeah, very interesting to me because also toughness one too. So if we can somehow like front load creatures with a lot of like X1s, then we can get a lot of damage through for free.
I think I might, one or less. Yeah, the thing is like if you're ever gonna put a creature in your commander deck in a blue deck that has power 1 or less, it's probably already unblockable.
Oh, so annoying that this. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, so weird.
Interesting though. I think in those types of decks, your Edrics, your like the what's it called, Derevi, the little one that cares about all the little things hitting, kind of like an Edric deck. Like you'll see this card pop up there maybe, but
most of the dorks you run are already unblockable.
Exactly, I agree. So I don't even know. Like I was thinking about this for my Derevi deck, and I was like, I don't even think I want it.
I think this is a lieutenant in a multicolor deck that has a lot of incidental. I don't know if you build around having this guy in there, but if you just have a lot of stuff that's like, oh, this is a nice synergy with something I already have going on, sure.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Who's up next? Is it another WWE superstar? No, it's not. It's Zahid, Jinn of the Lamp. 4 blue for a 5/6 legendary Jinn. You may pay 3 in a blue and tap an untapped artifact you control rather than pay the spell's mana cost, and it has flying. I don't think we'll be playing this card in Commander very much.
Nope.
Enough said.
All right.
Done.
Yeah, enough said.
Moving on.
Let's go to red. Oh, no.
Black.
Sorry. I scrolled my page and my eyes went where I used to go. Okay, so now we get to meet another one of Liliana's demon contractors.
That's right.
This is Demon Lord Belzenlocks. 4 black, legendary Elder Demon. So you still get to do EDH.
Yeah, Elder Demon Highlander. That's kind of fun.
So this is a 6/6 flying trample. When Demon Lord Belzenlock enters the battlefield, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card, then put it into your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process. Demon Lord Belzenlock deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. So if it's big, you get another one.
Mm-hmm. I think you could do a mono black demon tribal with this guy as the commander. Obviously 6 mana isn't ideal for a commander. It's like it's just on the cusp there of being too expensive, I would say. Probably a little, yeah. But that effect is pretty cool though, right? Especially if you have a lot of high cost things in your deck. So he's at least always going to get you the 1 card.
If he gets you a little card, you don't get any additional.
Yeah, you just get.
But if you get a big card, you get another. So you get to chain big cards. So which implores you to put more big cards in your deck, which is tough to do because then you have a hard time getting rolling.
And then in order to do that, you'll need to put a lot of cards in there that are going to ramp you, right? And then yeah. And then if you're gonna hit a lot of those. It's that conundrum you get with putting high costed things in your commander decks because you'll need to then ramp to them, and that thins it out and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, I think this guy's not terrible though. You throw him in anything that cares about demons and generally has a high curve.
It would suck to cast this guy for 6 and get a land, and then it's like, well. Thanks, Demon Lord Belzenlock.
You exile cards on the top of your library until you exile a non-land. So
it has to be non-land. Yes,
yeah, so you can just skip over all your lands. Yeah, that would stink. Yeah,
or a mana rock.
Yeah, I think it's not great, but I do think if you really wanted to, you could make a deck around this.
Yep. Okay.
Next we have Kazarov, Sengir Pureblood. 5 black for a 4/4 legendary vampire. Okay, we're listening. Vampires are a hot tribe these days. Let's see what we got here. Has flying. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on Kazarov, Sengir Pureblood, and then you can pay 3 in a red, and Kazarov deals 2 damage to target creature.
Whoa. This card is... It's Rakdos, first of all. Mm-hmm. I just want to say Pyrohemia. That's all I want to say.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow.
Pay a red, do a damage to every other creature on the battlefield. Maybe put 20 counters on this guy. Swing, you're dead.
Pestilence too, right?
I think Pestilence, does Pestilence do damage or does it make them lose life? I'm looking it up.
No, it does damage.
I guess it has to do damage to creatures, right?
Exactly. It does damage for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, Pestilence does straight damage to players as well. Yeah, man. Red'll give you all those.
Arguably a card that should have been red all along. Why is black
Right?
dealing damage to creatures? That doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, so Kazarov is a great Voltron commander, in my opinion.
I mean, it costs 7.
It costs 7, but you got to do a lot of work. You got to protect it hard.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it has to be because it's gonna hit so hard.
Like, I'm not even sure I want to put this guy in vampire decks just because 7 is so much. And he comes down as a 4/4, which isn't that big. So it's like, now I got to wait till the next turn to make him big enough. Although I guess whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt any damage, so even if your opponents attack each other,
yeah,
that makes, you know what? I take it back. I think this guy's okay in vampire decks. I don't think I'd run him as a commander though. 7 mana is just too much for me. I need something crazy for 7 mana.
I would be tempted to run him as a commander just to because you can set up a nice play. If you have a way to give him haste, you already got your Pyrrhemia or Pestilence out. You could just line him up, send him home.
Pay 7 mana, then pay 1 more. You have to wait till 8 before you get him out.
Yeah, I mean, it's
probably pretty good if you have. Yeah, exactly. It's probably pretty good if you have your Pestilence out already. But I mean, that's some setup cost. Anyways, it's a good creature, but I think it costs too much.
Okay, who's next? Josu Ves, Lich Knight, 2 black, legendary zombie knight for a 4/5. It's a very cheap for this body for 4/5 for 4. It also has kicker of 5 and a black, so you can either pay 4 or you can pay 10, and it has menace. So when Josu Ves, Lich Knight, enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, if you've paid 10, you get 8 2/2 black zombie knight creature tokens with menace. So these are the best zombies ever made. It's hard. We're going to want to compare this to Army of the Damned. It's that flashback card that makes you 13 regular zombies tapped. And then it flashes back to make you 13 more zombies for less mana than it costs to kick Josu Ves. Yeah. But these zombies are better because they have menace. And they're knights, if anything cares.
And they don't come in tapped.
That is also true. That is a big up.
So you get less of them, but they don't come in tapped. And they're also on a creature, so technically, especially in black, it's very easy to recur it. And I don't even mean recur it to the battlefield, obviously, but recur it to your hand and then kick it again. That's another 8. I mean, that's something to think about for zombie decks. Usually, I don't think kicker is that great in commander, but this might be a big enough effect that I'd consider running it in a zombie deck.
10 is pricey.
10 is very pricey, though. You're right. But mono black is pretty good at ramping, actually.
Well, now hang on. This is why you didn't like the last vampire guy, because he costs 7, and this guy
as a commander.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. No,
if you get up to 10, I'm happy to cast this.
Exactly. This is Magical Christmas Land, basically. Otherwise, I don't think this card is all that good. All
right, who's up next?
Torgar. Another song by Torgar's is another album by what's his name?
By Slyn Voda.
By Slyn Voda, that's it. Yeah. Torgar, Famine, Incarnate. There is a fun game of any black card in Magic is just a metal band.
Yes.
Torgar, Famine, Incarnate. 6 black for legendary avatar, 7/6. So 8 mana for a 7/6. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. The spell costs 2 generic less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. Okay. When Torgar, Feminine Incarnate, enters the battlefield, up to 1 target player's life total becomes half their starting life total, rounded down.
Now, I misread this at first. It does not say half their life total.
Exactly.
It becomes half of what it started.
You could gain someone life with this if you wanted.
You could gain someone life. I do enjoy that you can discount by the amount that the tax is, commander tax. So sack 3 creatures. This dude is black. And then the next cost, you can sack 4 creatures, and it will still be black. So that can be neat.
Yeah.
But that is neater when you're mistakenly under the impression that you can half their life total and do that over and over. You can't, like, there's no point in re-triggering this guy over and over once everyone has been set to 20.
I mean, you can do it to yourself and set your own life back to 20 every time you cast them.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Right? Like, okay, it's like as long as I can cast my commander, as long as I have the creatures I have to do it, that I will never really, like, every time my turn comes around, I'll go back to 20 life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a cool ability to think about, but, like, that's still a lot of work you got to do in between. You got to cast a bunch of creatures and, then sack them all, and then,
Yeah.
And you're only in mono black, so you can't reach out to any other colors or anything.
So maybe this goes in black decks that are already doing a lot of sacrificing, and it's a way to just get a nice body for black, and a free bonus sacrifices.
And if you can recur it right to the battlefield, it does this on entering. So it's not like you could, again, like, reset your life total if you needed it, or you could have that, like, that person who gained all this life. It's like, oh, guess what? You're at 100 life. Don't care. Now you're at 20. Like, yeah, that's interesting. I think you definitely would include this in some of those types of decks. I think the switching life total one, that this could go in there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, what do we have next?
Okay, next. Urgoros, the Empty One. 4 black for a Spectre. 4/3 with flying. Whenever Urgoros, the Empty One, deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card at random. If the player can't, you draw a card. I mean, there's no way this is a commander. Too expensive, doesn't do enough. We have way better ways of making opponents discard cards in Commander if we care about that. I don't think this goes in a single deck, except for Spectre's Tribal if you care about that.
Yeah, and you probably don't. I would have loved to see this be a true Spectre Lord. Like, I think that would have been really cool.
Oh,
maybe a 4-mana 4/3 like flying Spectre that when it hits, it does the Spectre thing. So it does the same thing all the other Spectres do. Like, they have to discard a card at random. But it's like, every time a player discards a card at random or something like that, you do this, or you get this effect, or it turns everything else into Spectres. Like, that would be cool. That might be too strong. I don't know.
Is this too strong? Whenever an opponent discards a card, they discard a card at random instead.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So it randoms up all your discards.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think that would have been very cool. Anyways, we got Urgoros, and no one cares.
More like Urgross.
Urgross.
All right, who's up?
That Empty One. Next we have Whisper, Blood Liturgist. You get your liturgy going on here. 3 and a black for a 2/2 human cleric, legendary. Tap it, sacrifice 2 creatures, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
I like the other creatures that do this sacrifice themselves often, or you have to do it in your upkeep only.
Yeah, and obviously you can sacrifice Whisper if you want. It doesn't say other or anything. You can sacrifice it to itself, which is fun. Reminds me of, what is it? Necromancer, Doom Necromancer. That's what it is.
Doomed Necromancer. Yep. And all the little dudes in the art remind me of Powder.
Yeah, Whisper also reminds me of Powder quite a bit.
There's a whole room of powders.
This is what what's the name of Victimize? Is that the name of the card?
Oh, yes, it's Victimize. Sacrifice 2 creatures and return 1 to the battlefield.
Yeah. There you go. So it's Victimize
from
on
your
a
graveyard,
creature, which is I think
that's
good.
Awesome. I'll play Victimize happily. Yeah, man, this is great.
I think this is and this is an uncommon. This is not going to be expensive. This is going to go in a lot of Reanimator, especially budget versions. I love it.
Yep.
I'm in. Okay, what's next?
Okay, next we have Yargle, Glutton of Urborg, 4 and a black for a frog spirit. That's 9/3 vanilla.
Yep. Nope.
I
love Yargle.
It opens up. I think this might be the first commander we can use to run vanilla creatures tribal. I don't know if that was possible before, because the commanders had abilities.
No, I think in some of the old legends. From Legends.
Okay, great then.
I think there are a couple of vanillas. Yeah. Yargle. I love Yargle's story though. When Belzenlock's lieutenant Yarkul grew too ambitious, the demon lord transformed him into a maggot. The frog ate that maggot and grew until he was this huge monster. I think that's kind of fun. It's just this frog that went nuts. Okay, no need to spend any more time talking about Yargle.
Okay, so that covers black, and there are significantly less legendaries in red and green.
Yeah,
so
which is weird.
It's very weird. There's lots of multicolor ones, so they get touched on that way. But we'll start with Squee the Immortal. 1 red for a legendary goblin. 2/1. You may cast Squee the Immortal from your graveyard or from exile, which is basically the same as the old Squee, which said that at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return it from your graveyard to your hand. So it goes back to your hand, which is another way of saying you can cast it again after if it's been in your graveyard. But the new Squee gets to do that from exile as well.
If you want a goblin, like are there Squee decks out there? Probably.
There are, because it plays on like Perforos's ability, because you can sack this creature all the time and you can like get him back every time. There is a use for Squee.
So then this new Squee is interesting too, because it's kind of better, right? Like if it's your commander, you will never have to pay the commander tax for him.
This is true. You just always let it go to the graveyard or exile. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So I guess the only time is if people try to tuck it, but that never happens anymore. So that's interesting. Updated version of Squee. This next one we have Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. 2 and a red for a legendary human shaman, a 3/2, and it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. This is interesting. So obviously you want this guy to be a like Voltron style commander, lots of auras, lots of equipment. And then you've got that weird thing that's like Tana the Bloodsower has the same thing where it's like, okay, the ability wants me to kind of go wide, wants me to, or there's another cat too. The kitty.
Ooh, I know what you're thinking of.
What's his name? Oh,
yeah. It's like Giselle, not Giselle Goldmane. No.
It's
The point stands though.
Anyways,
it wants you to go wide.
You go tall to go wide, which is kind of confusing. So you want to put all these cards in there that help the guys go wide and all this. But I think it's actually, if you look at it this way, where it's like, okay, this is a Voltron deck that if they somehow block my commander, or if they can deal with the Voltron style of it, they're gonna have a hard time dealing with the 3/1s that are also made, right? Like, and this is the beginning of combat. They all get haste, so like three power, and they have trample. Like that's, you might not even ever need to attack with actual Valduk. Like you might just be able to load up on them and then let the 3/1s do all the work.
Yeah, but then wouldn't you be attacking with him? I guess the 3/1s go to player 2, and then Valduk himself goes to player 1.
Yeah, maybe that's the way you do it. Yeah,
you just get to like double up on your attacks. Maybe that's it.
I kind of like it.
It's not bad. I want to see how it would play in an Angry Omnath deck to get all those extra elementals, but Omnath isn't running a lot of equipment or auras, so that kind of dilutes that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, even if you do just get you're not going to regularly get the 1 even. Like, you've got some equipment in Omnath. You got
Swiftfoot boots.
Yeah, you got like the aura that makes 3/1, like to let you tap for the power and make 3/1 elementals. You got that, but then it's like, well, why do you need Valduk? You don't need him.
Yeah.
I actually would be interested in just making an equipment tribal thing with him, like a red artifact. You know what I mean? Put a lot of the artifact stuff that cares about graveyards and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I think there's a possible deck here that could be pretty fun.
Worth a shot.
Yeah, worth a shot.
I mean, there is that. What's that equipment that came out? The blade that copies itself whenever you do damage with it. You can that gets out of hand.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but I do remember the card you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, cool. And
so next up, Verix Bladewing, 2 red for a 4/4 legendary dragon. That's very cheap for a dragon. Kicker 3 generic, so that makes it cost 7 total. And if you do pay the 7, when Varric's Bladewing enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create Karok's Bladewing, a legendary 4/4 red dragon creature with flying. So you double it up for less than the 4.
Yeah, you get 8 power toughness for 7.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not amazing for Commander, though, honestly. Like, it doesn't just enter the battlefield with it. You do need to kick it, so you can't just recur this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, and also, like, if this is your command, I mean, it's not going to be your commander, let's be honest, but if it was, this is, to get full value out of it, it costs 7. And that's not even counting, any additional commander tax. I don't love this card for commander. I don't mind it in a dragon deck, I guess. Like, it's probably fine, but or even just maybe just a red. I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't think it's great. I think this is definitely made for constructed or something. This is definitely a standard card or something.
Great.
Okay, that's red. There's only 3. Isn't that wild? That's nuts.
That's wild. Okay, let's move on to green then. Who's up first for green, Andy?
Grun, the Lonely King. This was Commandarin's preview card. 4 green for a 5/5 legendary ape warrior. I love it. Have we ever seen a legendary ape before? I don't think so.
Look it up.
6 mana for a 5/5. Has kicker 3. If Grun, the Lonely King, was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 5 +1/+1 counters on it. So if you kick it, so for 9, you get a 10/10, and then whenever Grun attacks alone, you double its power and toughness until end of turn. So
this is fine, but why no trample?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty crazy. This is an uncommon in the set.
I guess that's why.
Yeah, I mean, if you kick this guy, he attacks alone as a 20/20. I mean, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. There's lots of ways to give him trample, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think you're going to see this in Commander very often, but again, because Kicker is not. I don't think Kicker is great in Commander.
I would consider it for a big green idiots deck.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, some of those things want to put things just right into play, right? Like Mael and things like that, and Elvish Piper or something like that, and that just doesn't help you with Grun.
Oh well.
Anyways, I mean, not terrible though. Not terrible.
Next up, we got Marwyn the Nurturer, 2 and a green for a legendary elf druid. Is this our first elf? It might be.
I think it
1/1. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Marwyn the Nurturer, and Marwyn taps to add an amount of green equal to Marwyn's power. So this is not too far from Gyre Sage. Like, as you get counters, you get to tap for more and more mana. I'm assuming this is going to be elf tribal, so you'll get tons of elves, and then you'll be able to just tap for tons of mana.
Yep.
Yet another elf that can go infinite with those artifacts that let you spend mana to untap themselves, anything like that.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Yep, just another solid addition to that, lineup of creatures that do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're probably going to put this in every elf deck.
Yep.
Next, we have Multani, Yavimaya's avatar.
Spicy.
Yeah, 4 green, so 6 mana for a 0/0 legendary elemental avatar. It has reach and trample. Multani, Yavimaya's avatar, gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. So in the right type of deck, that could be massive. And you pay 1 and a green to return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand and return Multani from your graveyard to your hand. So yeah, kind of a similar thing. You get to bounce 2 lands, and then it comes from your graveyard to your hand as well.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, interesting. I would probably like to include this in any kind of landfall deck. It's probably great for that.
I think this might be my favorite commander as a solo. I think.
Really?
Because it has the ability to get itself and avoid the tax. Right? Unless it's exiled, but we'll run sec outlets, so it's very hard to exile things with sec outlets around. I'm going to run tons of cards that ramp me with lands, and it's got the native trample. That's key.
Very key.
I'm also going to run mono green, so I think I'm going to run a Stratascythe naming Forest and just have it so I could very easily one-shot people. And if you deal with it, I'll just get it back next turn. Yeah, I got to return 2 lands, but playing extra lands is not a problem for most green decks.
Yeah, it's true. This is an exciting commander, I'd say.
I'm very excited by this commander.
We were talking about how 6 mana is like a bit too much when I'm talking about commander, but when we're talking about mono green, like ramping obviously is not a problem for green. So I'm a little more likely to play something that costs 6 as a commander if it's in green.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Ooh, and there's one colorless commander.
Oh, yeah.
Andy, who is it?
It's Traxos, Scourge of Krug.
Yeah.
Krug. Oh, what a silly name. 4 generic for legendary artifact Construct. It's a 7/7 with trample. Wow. Traxos enters the battlefield tapped and does not untap during your untap step. Whenever you cast a historic spell, though, you untap Traxos.
Okay, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a thing. I probably wouldn't run this guy as a commander just because it's hard to have a colorless commander.
It's so hard.
It's tough. It's so tough. You like the lands. It costs a lot to have a colorless commander because the lands you got to get and
yeah,
the spells are so specific and yeah. Anyways, we've tried to do. You know what? We tried to do a colorless episode on the show a long time ago, and the budget was impossible. But maybe it's worth having another look at because I haven't looked at it for at least a year.
The trouble with it is you got to fill out most of the deck with wastes. Yeah. And I would argue, I haven't checked, but I bet you wastes have gone up since then.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's one of the things. So, I mean, but for the purposes of the episode, maybe we could say wastes don't count towards the budget or something.
According to Scryfall, you should be able to get wastes for a quarter.
That's still a lot for basic land.
It is. Yeah, and all your lands cost at least a quarter. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah, we should try
Would you do Traxos?
I don't know if I would do Traxos. I might do something. Although, I mean, no, yeah, I don't know. Okay. Traxos, he's interesting in like a big, like a tapping deck, like a druid deck or something. You know, you just untap him. You don't need to worry too much about casting historic spells. Or similarly, obviously, pretty good in an artifact deck that cares, right? But the thing that you're getting is that you're getting this efficiency. You're getting a 7/7 trample for only 4.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all. It's quite good. But is it worth a 7/7 trample? It's like there are other good 7/7 creatures with trample. There are other good 7/7 artifacts that even have bigger effects than just being able to untap when it wouldn't normally untap. You know what I mean? And cost a bit less. So you can make an argument for him in certain decks, I think, but I don't think you're going to see Traxos very often.
I'm not making that argument.
Okay, what's next? Oh, we're on to our multicolored permanents.
Yes.
Not even just permanents. Sorry.
Yeah, legendaries, multicolor. We're going to start with ally color pairs, then we're going to go enemy color pairs, then things that are more than 2 colors. There's maybe 1 or 2 for each of these at most. Okay, starting off, we got Azorius. First up, Niambi, Faithful Healer. 1 white, blue. Legendary Human Cleric, 2/2. When Niambi, Faithful Healer, enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Teferi Timebender, put it into your hand. If you search this way, shuffle it. This is special for the Commander Precon decks that has that Teferi in it. So, I mean,
no.
No. It's not?
No, not the you said Commander Precon decks.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Planeswalker Precon decks.
Yes, yeah, there you go, yeah.
Anyways, we do, like. What are the chances you want both of those in a commander deck? I think 0.
If you really want Teferi Timebender to like sort of be your commander a little bit, I guess you could run Niambi, so that way you always can get it, right? But
yes. Let's keep that in mind when we read Teferi. Not worth it.
Not important right now. She's not good. Our other Azorius legendary is Raf Capuchin, Ship's Mage, 2 white blue. Legendary Human Wizard, 3/3 with Flash and Flying. You may cast historic spells as though they had Flash. So this lets you cast your artifacts with Flash, which is pretty good. And if you want that effect as your commander, this can probably be pretty solid. A blue-white artifact deck is something that can definitely happen.
Yeah.
Lately, we're looking more towards like red and oddly enough black, even like blue and black wants to have artifacts. So every color seems like can really mess with artifacts except for green. So
Sorry, green.
yeah, so this could definitely be a full-on commander, or just something that you throw into that Esper deck. I think that's where you're most likely going to see him.
Yeah, great. Not bad. So then we do have a Dimir commander, Rona, Disciple of Gix, 1 blue-black, legendary human artificer, 2/2. When Rona, Disciple of Gix, enters the battlefield, you may exile target historic card from your graveyard, artifact, legendaries, and sagas. You may cast non-land cards exiled with Rona, 4 tap, exile the top card of your library. So, yeah, so you gotta... If it goes to the graveyard, you get to exile it when it enters the battlefield. So you get one. Rona kind of comes with one spell under his belt.
Her belt,
you get
yes.
Her belt. Oh, my mistake. Sorry, Rona. And you get to add cards to that by spending 4. I don't know. Seems overpriced. Not that good.
Yeah, I don't get this card really. I mean, it's an uncommon, so it's not like, I guess the power level is quite mitigated on it. But like 4 and tap it? It's like, that's a lot. That kind of stinks.
I think you're just going to assume you get that first one. You spend 3, you get that first one there.
I mean, it's essentially like drawing a card, right? But it's limited in that you need to have Rona out there to do it. Now, my question is a rules question, is if I've cast Rona, she's my commander, I've exiled the 1 card from when she enters. If then she dies, and the next time I cast her, can I still cast the one from before?
I don't think so, because... So I'm looking up Gonti. Gonti includes the phrase, for as long as that card remains exiled. This does not have that phrase, which would imply that if Rona's not there, this sentence is not on the battlefield.
Interesting. Because it is exiled with Rona, it's just not exiled with this iteration of Rona, which I think is where I'm confused about it. So, because if you can, like if you can exile, if you can still cast the old ones, like from previous versions of casting her, then I think she's way better. But if you can't, then I think it's pretty bad.
You know what? Even if you can, I think it's pretty bad.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to Rakdos with Garna, the Blood Flame. 3 black-red for legendary human warrior, a 3/3 with Flash. Now, we've heard tell of them. They're trying to move Flash over into black a little bit. And this is, I think, kind of one of the first cards we're seeing that be applied on. So, interesting. Flash, when Garna the Blood Flame enters the battlefield, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. Other creatures you control have haste. Interesting. I don't know. I could see this going in some decks.
I think the interesting thing, on the surface, you're going to be a Rakdos attacking deck, so you can attack your whole team in freely, and then whatever happens to them, if they go to the graveyard, you just flash in Garna and get them all back to your hand. But it is interesting that says all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. So if you have a way to mill yourself for a whole bunch, you can just get all of them creatures back in your hand.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I think there's some utility out there for this commander. And it's just an enter the battlefield thing, so any kind of recursion or bounce will also help. I mean, this is black and red, obviously. We're not talking about a lot of bouncing here. But yeah, I don't know. Other creatures you control have haste is also just a valuable ability in these colors. So
Yep.
I don't think you're going to run this as a commander. Well, I mean, maybe. But just because the flash ability gets kind of ruined there because your opponent can see it coming, so they can kind of plan for what's going on. But maybe you do want it as your commander, and you're not so much based on the surprise of it, just the straight up utility of it, right?
It is a bit of a counter because you're going to want Garna out to take advantage to give everyone haste, probably, but then you don't get to flash her in and get everyone back from the graveyard.
Yeah, interesting. But I like this commander though because I think it's an interesting ability with on an interesting body. So I think this is kind of there's some potential here, I think.
Okay, moving on. Gruul. We've got Grand Warlord Rada, 2 red green. Legendary Elf Warrior, 3/4. It's our second elf. Haste. Whenever you cast... Haste. Whenever one or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in any combination of red and or green. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. There you go. A little go wide, attacks a bunch, get a bunch of mana. So Cryptolitherite asks us to tap our creatures for mana, but Grand Warlord Rada lets us attack with them and get mana from them.
This is one of the cards I'm most excited about. I think this is
really?
really cool. I love this effect. I like when they kind of break little rules, like mana doesn't leave your mana pool. Like I like that. And we've seen there's that dragon, right? There's that Gruul dragon that when it attacks you get 6 mana in your mana pool. And
you get to
and it doesn't empty, right? So you get it for your next phase. But like that card is really good. I always underrate that card.
Agreed.
And I think Grand Warlord Rada is going to be very good. To obviously go wide tokens. Like this is just going to make mana for you every time. And like, yeah, it has haste itself. I think Rada is great. I think this is a very good commander. I think you're going to see some real good decks with her as the general.
I also think you're going to see some really good decks with Halar the Firefletcher, 1 red-green for a legendary elf archer, 3/3 with trample. Whenever you cast a spell, if that spell was kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on Halar the Firefletcher. Then Halar deals damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it to each opponent. I like the idea. So there aren't necessarily enough worthy kicker spells to like just do this the hard way, but green has no problem adding +1/+1 counters different ways. Add enough +1/+1 counters, it deals damage to each opponent. I can certainly see a world where we'll get like even a Forgotten Ancient, right? Every round people are casting spells and they put all those counters over on Halar the Firefletcher. You got a little hardened scales going, so you up that. I mean, if you can afford like a doubling season and have that go too, I can see it's gonna take a little bit of work, but Halar can do some serious damage.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I mean,
I think
the way
it's a
I
lot
see
of work because not only like in order to be doing kicker all the time, you're going to need to be ramping it all out first. And if you're talking about putting +1/+1 counters on it in other interesting ways, you're going to need to do all that first and then cast something with kicker. Like, I don't know. And like you said, I don't think there's that many good kicker spells.
There's not a ton, but like I think there's enough.
The best one I can think of isn't even in these colors. Like, Rite of Replication's blue.
Yes. I mean, we got Comet Storm, we got Everflowing Chalice. Multi-kicker is a form of kicker, so it still notices those, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Did a lot of research on that, and it's hard to there's no straight rule that says multi-kicker counts as kicker.
Oh, interesting.
But based on everything I've read and put pieces together, I think multi-kicker is a variant on kicker.
It is. I think it's just like it counts as it was that spell kicked, and I think like it checks that, and it's like, well, even if it's multi-kicker, the answer is yes,
and it was
right?
kicked. Yeah, it was kicked. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So I mean, there is enough. There's enough to make it go. I don't know. I'm gonna try to break it.
Good luck. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You Halar the Firefletcher brewers. I'm probably not going to try and make this deck. But all the best to those of you who do, including you, Sean.
Okay, on to Selesnya.
Yeah.
Who do we have?
Oh, no, wait, no, we have one more. Oh, no, sorry, we don't. Never mind. That's just, there's no space there. Okay. Yes, Selesnya. We have Shana, Sisei's Legacy. Green-white for a legendary human warrior. A 0/0 that says Shana, Sisei's Legacy can't be the target of abilities your opponents control. So not spells or abilities, not hexproof, just abilities. I don't care
about abilities.
And Shana gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. I don't think this is that good.
No, I mean, if you want a Selesnya go wide commander, it's not Shana.
Yeah.
Maybe she's decent in that deck as the 99 because for a 2 mana, if you get like 10/10 because of all the creatures, that seems fair. But I don't know.
Nah, whatever. There's lots of creatures that do this, and even those are arguably not good enough to put in those commander decks too. So,
Well, that's it for Selesnya.
that's it. Sorry, Selesnya, you didn't get anything good. Next, we have Orzhov.
Yeah, we got Arvad the Cursed, 3 black, white for a legendary vampire knight, 3/3 death touch lifelink. Other legendary creatures you control get +2/+2.
Yeah, I mean,
That's your commander.
I don't know.
If this isn't your commander.
Yeah.
There are other cards that give your commander +2/+2 in indestructible, +2/+2 in, I think, haste. So I don't think this is better than those.
This needs to be in white and black, which those other ones don't. Believe the one you're talking about is in white only, and the other one is red, I guess.
Red, yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't see this card being
Nah.
played in Commander, really.
Yeah.
It is possible, obviously. Maybe in Vampires you would do this. Maybe just to have another Vampire and then to give your Commander that extra boost. Maybe.
In theory, I mean, double check. You might have a lot of incidental legendary vampires in that deck.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Maybe.
Yeah, you know what? This might be worth putting in a Vampire deck, actually.
Check it out.
In a what's his name? Edward?
Eddie Markov.
Eddie Markov. Next we have Ariel? Maybe I'll just say Ariel. Knight of Windgrace. 2 white black, legendary human knight, 4/4 with vigilance. This is the one that cares about knights. 2 and a white, tap, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. And then you can pay black and tap X untapped knights you control, destroy target creature with power X or less. So you get a bunch of knights out there, you tap them all, and you kill something for the low cost of tapping them all and paying 1 black, which isn't
Tapping your
terrible.
whole team.
Yeah, and it's not one of those fun things where it's like tap, like she just says tap X untap knights you control. Like part of the cost is tapping her, so you can't do this at instant speed.
Right.
Or sorry,
think
you
this
can't
is
do it while she has summoning sickness, I should say.
I think this is going to be an excellent limited card. It's going to be really fun to try to build around that. But in a multiplayer game, tapping most or all of your team to get rid of 1 creature per turn cycle is not good enough.
Not great. You could combine it with some stuff that taps and untaps if they're like the artifacts that do that, I suppose, to try and get some extra value. But I mean,
heck, if we're Knights Tribal, we're running it.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably your commander if you're Knights Tribal, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, okay. So there you go. You've got a Knights Tribal commander that isn't that great.
Okay, thanks, Orzhov.
Orzhov.
I crunched the numbers. There are 130 knights that are white only. There are 37 knights that are black only. And there are 8 knights that are both black and white together.
There you go. That's pretty good.
So there's enough.
Here's one that I'm very stoked about. I like this guy a lot. I think this is going to be great. Slimefoot the Stowaway, 1 black-green, legendary fungus, a 2/3. Whenever a sapling you control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. You can pay 4 to create a 1/1 sapling. I think this is really fun, and obviously this is going to go in Gave decks. This is going to go in any kind of thing that cares about saplings that is these colors, but I think Slimefoot is a great commander by himself. Like, why not? Why not have constant access to this ability and build a sapling / fungus sort of tribal deck surrounding it? I think it's great. I think this guy's
all those
awesome.
little fungus creatures.
And I just love him. I mean, he just looks like he's from a cool, like a Pixar movie about the Weatherlight, you know? Like,
yeah.
and I love that he's when Joyra went to get the Weatherlight, he was just down there hanging out in the hold.
He was like, being mushrooms, and then they're like, hey, wait a minute. Oh, it's me.
It's interesting how, like, saplings and fungus have always been tied in Magic, but now in this set, like, saplings are fungus.
Yeah.
Usually they're like little tree things with fungus on them. I've seen that illustration, but now they're just straight up mushrooms, like, which is great. Good for them. Great.
Yay.
I
love it. I can't wait to see what the token looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Slimefoot. I think he's going to be a very fun commander, and like
he's a cutie.
Less work and like less math than Gave. So
Gave is a lot of math.
Gave's a lot of math. You're sacrificing things. You're moving counters around. You're like all this kind of stuff. Great commander, obviously, but like I think Slimefoot's just a simpler version of that. You're going to do a lot of the same types of things, but it's less intense on your brain. So I think he's going to be a good commander.
Alrighty, so now we're going into our Simic commander. This is Tatiova, Benthic Druid. 3 green blue for a merfolk druid, which is 3/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life and draw a card. That's pretty good.
Landfall.
Gain 1 life, draw a card. Not bad.
Really good. Like, this is... I think this is a great card. I think you're going to put this in a lot of... like, I'm not going to say all, but like a lot of green-blue decks. This is good. This is a great source of card draw. Like, this is really good.
This is a fantastic 99. I'm not sure I would make this a commander. I mean, maybe I would.
You could.
Just for the value.
Yeah, exactly. Just if you wanted to just make kind of like a green-blue good stuff, or even if you want to make that merfolk deck that, but you can't afford the, what's his face there, the Kumena.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, Kumena's obviously very, like, probably the best merfolk commander, but if you don't have one, Tatiova does she'll stand in for a little while until you save those funds to get one.
Yeah,
or until you draft one, or whatever. So yeah, I love Tatiova. I think this is a great commander card. I think you're going to see this pop up a lot.
Cool. And let's move on to my favorite guild. Who's up first, Andy?
Is it Adeliz? Adeliz? The Cinder
I want to
one.
say Adeliz.
Adeliz or Adel? Yeah. Anyways, like Adele and Liz put together. Adeliz, the Cinder Wind. 1 blue, red for a legendary human wizard. 2/2, flying in haste. I mean, I don't know why she has flying, but okay. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizards you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So it gives all wizards prowess, kind of. Not quite.
It kind of does, but again, there aren't enough attacking wizards.
Yeah.
Wizards are not a go-wide strategy. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is something you'd put in to, again, that Grixis Wizards precon, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, would you though? Like, are you casting that many instants or sorceries with like a +1/+1 over 4 creatures is a big deal?
Well, there's the one that makes those tokens. Like, maybe that's relevant.
There's one. There's Docent of Perfection, which makes wizard tokens. But without that,
isn't one of the commanders? Doesn't one of the commanders make wizard tokens?
It makes a token copy of a wizard that
yeah.
disappears at the end step.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's something there. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you combine it all, there's something going on there. You can have some fun with a deck like that. And I think Adeliz or whatever goes into that type of deck. Is she going to be a commander on her own? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, probably not. You're not. She's not the wizard tribal commander, I don't think.
Not even close.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Too bad. Who's next, though? Like this one.
Joyra Weatherlight Captain, 2 blue, red. Legendary Human Artificer, 3/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas.
I think this is the blue-red artifact commander we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, cast an artifact, draw a card. That seems really strong.
And it's not flashy. Like, it's not some amazing, crazy ability with some activated ability on top of it and all this. But I think it's solid. She costs 4, which is a great, that's a reasonable amount to pay. All of your artifacts now cantrip, not to mention if you have the other random legendary something come out. Like, I don't know. This is great. I love it. I want a Joyra for sure.
Great. Good for you, Joyra.
Yeah. We got the Izzet artifact commander.
About time.
I don't know. Like, I haven't really been reading a lot about the reaction to this set. Because it's been so spaced out because of the leak and everything, right? But, like, I want to know how people feel about Joyra. Like, I don't actually know. Obviously, she's a good card, but, like, are we happy with her as the Izzet artifact commander? I am, personally. I think it's great. But are people like, I kind of wish we wanted more. Like, we wanted more out of this commander. I think there's space to make another Izzet artifact commander, but I think at this point we can stop crying about it because we got one.
we can certainly stop crying about it.
And I've been crying about it. We did a whole episode where we cried about it.
We cried hard about it. Yeah. But I have to say the ones we came up with are way better, way more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? I'm not complaining about Joyra. I like it. I think it's good.
Not complaining.
It's simple. Not complaining. It's elegant in its design, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Next up is Boros. Who's first?
Oh, this is a controversial card. Fire Song and Sunspeaker, 4 red, white for the legendary Minotaur Cleric. It's a 4/6. You can only get this card if you buy a box.
Right.
It's the buy a box promo. I mean, obviously, you can get the single, I'm sure, at some point. I don't know how much it's selling for, is it? Well, it's only selling for $350. Okay, well, let's tell you what it does. Red instant and sorcery spells you control have lifelink. Cool. Whenever a white instant or sorcery spell causes you to gain life, Fire Song and Sunspeaker deals 3 damage to target creature or player. This is kind of the Boros commander that, again, we've been asking for.
Because it does something different.
Because it's not really enticing you to attack. It doesn't care about, like, you know, suiting up with equipment and attacking. It's like you can just have this commander sit there and then do some other cool stuff and still have it affect the game positively for you. I'm happy with the design on this card. I'm not super stoked about 6 mana. I think you could have made this a little smaller and then made the actual creature itself be smaller as well, like 4/6. Like, who cares? Like, if I don't care about attacking, I don't care that this is a 4/6. But that being said, I'm not going to complain. I think it's a cool design. I think you're going to be able to build some cool decks around this. Yeah, this is what we're asking for. What's the card that we always said would have been a good Boros? It's like Grandmaster or something, isn't it?
Yes.
Soulfire Grandmaster. That's it. It's not a legendary, and it's what's it called there? What's the 3 colors that it is?
Oh, it's it's not out. It's not a. I'm not looking at it.
My brain is fried.
What's the 3rd color?
We're not even done this yet.
Mardu? Is it Mardu?
No, it's blue, red, green.
Is it
blue, red, white.
Jeskai?
Jeskai. Thank you. My God, what's wrong with me? So this is the card that I think, like, we looked at this and we're like, well, why couldn't have this been a great Boros legendary? Well, we kind of have that here now.
Yeah. So I'm having trouble understanding. So if I'm not mistaken, red and instant and sorcery spells have lifelink.
20 burn spells you control now they have lifelink. That's cool.
Great. And whenever a white instant spell causes you to gain life, it kind of adds both sides to both colors.
Yeah, it kind of makes them each do kind of a similar thing. So, like, if you have a life gain spell, it does damage. Yeah, it'll do some damage. So you could even, like, take 1/2 of it. Like, in the old style of our show, I would say we would do a deck. We would each do a deck here, one where I did all red and one where you did all white or something, right? Like, that'd be fun.
I'm most interested in that instant that's, I think, white X, gain 2 times X life and put it on the bottom of your library. Mm-hmm. I think that one just rolled by. So that actually now does that much damage to an opponent?
No, it doesn't. Good. It will still only do 3 damage.
That was 3. Oh, the 3's over. Yeah, it's not it. Well, then, see you later. Not interested anymore. You lost me.
I think it's still playable. I think it's still, even just for the first ability, the red thing's getting life. Like, I think that's good.
Yeah, that's something.
And don't forget, red and white spells that could do both or could do either.
So Boros Charm, doing 4 to your opponent, gains you 4 life and does another 3 to somewhere you want.
Lightning Helix
gains you 3, does 3. Yeah, that's not bad.
There's some stuff kicking around. There's definitely a deck here, and it'll be fun to see. It'll be fun to see what it looks like. Maybe we'll brew it for the show. I think we should.
Okay.
Since I know I've been asking for this commander, so I'll definitely be up for doing that. I'm real
curious how much this is going to cost. This card costs. Wizard Tower is currently not selling it.
If you look on Scryfall, which I think links to what, Card Kingdom?
I don't know.
It's $350 pre-sale, so that's not bad, and it'll probably go down from there. Because again, I think that 6 mana is actually going to hold it back from being like a really highly played commander. Also, the whole controversy about how it's going to be tough to get because you have to buy a box to get it. Anyways,
I don't know about that.
I'm not wild about the buy box thing having exclusive cards because it just creates scarcity just for the sake of it, which kind of stinks. But
that stinks.
Don't do that to us, man. Come on, guys.
Respect.
We're blowing a lot of money here. Come on.
Yep.
Okay, next.
Okay. We have another Boros that is actually in the set. This is Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. 3 red white for a legendary Angel Artificer. I forgot. I didn't notice the angel the first time. She is 3/3 with flying and first strike. Whenever an aura or equipment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you will return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So you can't do any infinite loop shenanigans because it takes you the rest of the turn to get it back. But you can kind of attack and use auras without worry because you'll get them. The whole problem with auras is if the creature dies, the aura's gone. But in this case, you can attack in, maybe the creature and the aura dies, no problem. The aura comes back to my hand.
So this is more of our classic Boros commander here, where she is a great... she's a great 99 card for any decks that care about auras and equipment, and or just is an amazing Voltron commander herself, right? So any of the stuff that people deal with just comes back. They kill her, all that stuff just gets put back in your hand. Yeah, it'd be interesting to try and do this with like obviously it says Voltron Commander, but it'd be interesting to try and do it with like maybe other auras or something. I don't know, that aren't necessarily about making a creature big. I don't know if there are enough of those in these colors. I'm thinking of stuff that equips lands and things like that, but that's more of a green thing. Anyways,
I'd want to put the white enchantress in, so I'm also drawing cards from that.
Definitely. Saram, obviously, as we mentioned earlier, is great for this type of deck. So
yeah,
this is more traditional. I think it's a great card. I think it's good. I would run this card in these decks, I think, every time. If you've got that red-white Aurelia deck, like, you're putting this card in there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right? If they deal with your swords and all that stuff, you just get it back. That's great.
Yeah, Vandal Blast, don't care.
Forget about it. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that those decks really do care about is Vandal Blast. So if you got Tiana, you're just getting those right back in your hand. That's great.
Okay.
All right.
So that is it for all the 2-color legendaries. We have a few 3 or more color legendaries, and then we're in the real home stretch. Honestly, there's still some cards to go, but there's not as many as there are legendaries. I promise you.
Yeah, it's actually kind of. I'm actually quite surprised at the lack of non-legendary cards that are good for Commander.
Yeah.
Let's get into it though. 3-color legendaries. First up is Daragaz. Daragaz reincarnated. 4 black, red, green. That's Jund. So 4 and Jund colors. Legendary dragons. I laugh because my cat is just eating a box, cardboard box out there. It's a 7/7 with flying, trample, and haste. If Daragaz reincarnated would die, instead exile it with 3 egg counters on it, which is funny. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Daragaz is exiled with an egg counter on it, remove an egg counter from it. Then if Daragaz has no egg counters on it, return it to the battlefield. I just love the number of times egg counter is used on this card. It's 4 times it says egg counter. I don't know. I don't love Daragaz, although, like, you know, he comes back for free in a couple turns, I guess, which is cool.
I guess. I mean, there is something to be said for a 7/7 haste flying. Like, it's got evasion and it's got haste, and it's 7, which is
and
the
trample,
sort of magic number.
Tough, yeah.
And trample, right? So, like, if someone's got no flying defense, you can cast and hit for 7 right away. 2 more hits and they're dead. I mean, the fact that it comes back in 3 turns is mitigated a little bit by the haste, but still, man, like...
Yeah, I mean, it's like he gets suspend when he dies, right? That's kind of what it is.
But do you not think you're going to get 2 more mana in your mana pool and be able to cast him faster? Like, if your goal is to use this as a Voltron commander, you want to get him out faster, not wait that long to do it.
Although I guess that gives you a little more time to set up in between. So it's like, oh, I'm going to cast this thing that will give him hexproof, and you know, so you don't have to actually spend the mana to cast him. Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's certainly not bad, but again, at 7 mana, you do get a lot. Flying trample haste 7/7 is quite good. I don't know. Interesting though. Interesting. You're probably not gonna. Do you put this guy in your Dragon Tribal deck?
I don't think so.
Maybe not. I mean, are we underrating this egg counter business? Is that actually going to be really good and like just
3 counters,
just a pure pest a pest to deal with?
That's 3 additional upkeeps before they have to deal with this again.
That's true. That's a lot of time in Commander.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm sold. It's not all that good.
Next up, we have a Joda Archmage Eternal, 1 Jeskai, so 1 blue, red, white, but this is a human wizard flying 4/3. You may pay Wooburg, that's white, blue, black, red, green, rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Of course, they snuck in one of these for Brawl so that we could get a 5-color Brawl deck.
That's right.
That's what Joda's going to be for everybody. And, paying 5 mana to cast more expensive spells is a great ability. If you're brewing around Joda with that intent, I think that's a strong ability. There is another artifact that I think lets you do that.
Yeah. It's not an artifact. I think it's an
enchantment.
Yeah.
I forgot to look it up, but that's a useful ability. Yeah. So it's sort of it seems like it's a bit of a cousin of like the old Joyra a little bit, where you just put in gigantic things and cheat them out. Similar here. You're going to cast Joda on 4, and then hopefully on 5 be able to just drop some crazy 11 mana spell.
Yeah. I was thinking like this actually might be a really good dragon, 5-color dragon commander, actually.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, right?
Yeah.
All of your big dragons now only cost 5, essentially. So that's something. Yeah, I think it's a cool card. It's a cool, big, flashy card for Commander. My biggest issue with this, why does he have flying?
I don't know.
He can just fly? A bunch of these wizards just have flying. I guess wizards can just fly? I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, that hands up guy.
Usually the flying makes sense. Like, oh, a demon, he has wings. There's a bird. He has, something else. Oh, he's some, I don't know, whatever. I guess he can levitate. I don't know. But cool card though. Like you can't deny that this is a cool card. Interesting that it's Jeskai to cast though. I like that it's like just hard enough to cast that. It's not prohibitive, but you got to work to get there. You're probably not just dropping this on turn 4 exactly, unless your mana base
it's not
really,
green.
really solid. Exactly. Yeah. Cool card, and I think we'll see some neat decks with it.
Ooh, last 3 color. Who is this?
Oh, this is Muldrotha, the Gravetide. 3
this is
black.
The command zone.
Yeah, 3 black, green, blue. This is 3 in Sultai. Legendary Elemental Avatar. It's a 6/6. So during each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. So obviously, the biggest comparison is Carador.
Yep.
So how does this stack up to Carador, one of the sort of a darling of Commander players? Carador is black, green, and white, and you can only cast 1 creature on each of your turns. Muldrotha lets you hit 1 of each permanent.
Yes, and if you have enchantment creatures and artifact creatures, you can technically hit 3 creatures.
Yeah, that's right.
As well as very one of those true. But I mean, obviously, the value here is just off the charts.
Yeah,
like you get to cast up to 3. Well, you get to play, so you also get to play a land. So it's Crucible of Worlds on a stick at minimum.
That's true. I didn't even think of that. You can play.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you can play lands. Wow.
So it's already Crucible of Worlds plus Sword of Carador plus Silas Wren plus like what gets enchantments back? Sword of Zur, I don't know. This card's crazy. Like you're going to want to cram it full of I don't even think you need to cram it with too much stuff. I don't think you need to work to play cheap stuff. The goal doesn't need to be to cast as many things per turn.
No, it doesn't.
But you just cast very good things, and as much as you have, you're going to be ramping so much. We'll try to favor artifact ramp or creatures that bring lands with them so that we can cast those again.
Yeah.
We're also casting lands from our graveyard. Boo.
It's a great card, right? It just takes Carador and ups it, except the one downside that it has versus Carador is obviously Carador gets this thing where the cost is reduced for every creature in your graveyard. So one of the most annoying things about Carador is that you can destroy it and exile it and all this, and the commander tax just never really applies. It's basically always going to be 3 mana if they've got if they got things going on in their graveyard the way they want. Whereas Muldrotha, that is the way to combat this deck, is to just keep hitting Muldrotha, keep it off the board. Because 6 mana to start with is a lot. And then once you start to get it up there, 10 mana or whatever, it's
Graveyard hate.
They're not going to be able to cast things from their graveyard. They had to spend their whole turn casting Muldrotha again. So
Yeah.
So it's at least like, oh, there's a way to deal with it. Good.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, obviously, Graveyard Hate is, I think Muldrotha is going to be a very popular commander.
I think so too. I can't wait to see what people come up with.
Yeah. I mean.
Okay. We did it, Andy. We got through all the legendary creatures.
We did it.
Oh boy. So we would normally that would be like 11 cards. Normally we would have done 11 cards.
Yeah.
And we would move on to interesting lands and then colorless cards because they can go in the most decks. And then we'll break it down color by color. So in the land category, we got one very interesting non-basic. It's Cabal Stronghold. It taps to add colorless or 3-tap, add black for each basic swamp you control. So
basic swamp. That's interesting.
Yes, the fact that it doesn't say swamp, it says basic swamp. So if you have the other Urborg, you don't get to, that doesn't count because it turns cards into swamps, but not basic swamps.
Not basic swamps, right.
If the card also has basic of another thing, then it still has basic and swamp, so it counts.
So a swamp is not inherently basic, is
Correct.
what we're saying here. Okay,
correct.
Cool. I just learned that.
So you in a mono black deck, obviously this is a very big game, but you have to be very mono black, which is that's very, very mono black of it to reward being more mono black.
Yeah, definitely. But I think this is going to be a new one that if you can't afford Cabal Coffers, which most of us budget players cannot. Cabal Stronghold does a great impression of that.
And then we get a cycle of lands that enter the battlefield tapped that each tap for one of their respective colors and each have an interesting ability. It's always interesting. We can always look at lands in Commander as in quote-unquote free spells. A land that can cast a spell is like having an extra spell slot in our deck. So
anytime you get an ability on a land, it's just bonus. Very nice.
Yeah, even if it's not a very big ability.
Right.
So, for example, Memorial to Folly is the black one, and it says 2 black, tap, sacrifice Memorial to Folly, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Not bad.
Not bad. That's fine. You're getting flooded out. This is going to help you. Same thing with the blue one, Memorial to Genius, which is 4 and a blue, tap, sacrifice, draw 2 cards. That's fine.
I think that's fantastic for blue. Blue's often holding up a lot of land. And
I also just wanted to highlight the red one real quick because I think this is going to be a new red staple, actually. Because it's 4 and a red, tap, sacrifice it, and destroy target land.
Wow.
Which is an underrated ability in Commander. You need to be able to do this once in a while. Especially with all these new, the stuff from Ixalan, right? Like, if you can't, strip mine and things like that, like those are cards that obviously are Commander staples, but those are a little pricey. And if you're in red, just throw a Memorial to War in there, and bam, now you got a strip mine. Kind of. I mean, you got to pay
way more
5.
expensive.
Way more expensive, obviously. But yeah, I think you're gonna run this in a lot of red decks now.
Cool. And then we get a cycle of checklands, but they're the enemy checklands, which haven't been printed since Innistrad. So, for example, Sulphur Falls, which is the blue-red one, and they just check to see if you have an island or a mountain or whatever the 2 colors are already in play. They reprinted the ally color ones about 1,000 times, so those are each $1, and they were like, hey, should we ever reprint the other ones? Yes, how about it?
Yes, please and thank you. Yeah.
So great. So these have dropped a ton in price, so scoop them up now while they're cheap.
Yep, absolutely. And they're all quite solid in Commander. Most times these will come in untapped, which is great.
Yep.
What else do we have here? Oh, yeah. Okay, now we're on to colorless artifact-y type stuff.
What's first?
Black Blade Reforged 2 generic for a legendary equipment. Equipped creature gets, it costs 7 to equip, or it costs 3 to equip on a legendary creature. And the equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Very big, obviously, in a Voltron deck. You can basically ignore that equip 7 because if your commander is the Voltron, this is only going to ever cost you 3. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. You know what I mean? Like, it's not flashy and amazing, but like you're happy to have this in, exactly, any kind of big Voltron deck.
Great. Another colorless card we have is Damping Sphere. This is a very mean card. 2 generic for an artifact. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces generic colorless colorless instead of any other type and amount. Each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. Well, that's it just makes everyone pay more, and their lands that tap for 2, which people don't run that many of sometimes, don't work.
I would argue this is very meta specific.
Yeah.
If you have a storm deck or something like that in your meta, you're going to run this. That's what this card is for. This card is there to stop. I think they said it's there as an answer to storm.
Yeah. It's a very good answer to storm.
Yeah, and some other decks maybe in some other formats, I'm not sure, but I think it's like a legacy answer for storm or something like that.
Sure.
But it is runnable in Commander, again, based on your meta. If you got players in your meta that are doing that kind of stuff, or tapping lands for more than 1 mana, well, they can't do that anymore. But it should be noticed that Damning Sphere also does affect you. It's each spell a player costs 1 more. So this will also affect you. Just know that.
Yeah.
Gilded Lotus. We got a
Yay!
reprint. It's been a long
Thank you,
time.
Wizards. Wizards, thank you. Please do this more. Please do this more, right?
Right.
Please do more like this.
5 generic, and you tap it for 3 mana of any color. Classic artifact. Love it.
Great
in Commander. I mean,
get it below $10.
Seems like it's falling out of favor. Like especially when you hear other podcasts talk about it, they're talking about how like everything is sort of sliding down the scale of the curve. Everything's getting a lot lower these days in those metas. Well, if you don't play in those metas, Gilded Lotus is still great.
It's still great. It's still great. We also got Helm of the Host, 4 generic for a legendary equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary. If equipped creature is legendary, that token gains haste. It does not say exile that token at end of turn. It equips for 5. So at the beginning of combat, you get another copy of your commander, which if it's something like Saskia, can you imagine Saskia copied? They're both coming at you, and I'm going to name you twice with Saskia. It's like, or you just spread the names out. This card's amazing.
Wow. I didn't realize that you get to keep it. Of course.
You keep
that's nuts.
That's nuts. And not to mention, even if you don't have on your commander, even, throwing this on something like a Muldrifter is just fine.
Yeah, that is just fine. Yeah, this is good.
This is a great card.
5 mana to equip is a lot, but like you're getting a lot for it. Even just like throw this in Tristani, like copying, not like you can copy Tristani and then populate the copied token. It's not legendary. You know
it's what I mean? Not legendary. Wow, I never thought of that.
And then you're just gaining so much life.
Jeez, man. Or like, why not get another Krenko? And then just like it gains haste.
Double tapping Krenko. The sky's the limit with this card. But like you said, like it's 9 mana to cast and then equip. So it doesn't come cheap, but this is a big effect. Kind of reminds me of Blade of Selves in a way, in that it's a lot of mana to like move this equipment around, but the effect, if you can get it to go, is real big.
Undeniable.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We love that one. Next is Mox Amber. This one's getting a lot of talk, obviously, in the standard environment. This is going to be really crazy because Mox Amber is a 0-cost artifact, legendary artifact. They haven't printed a 0-cost like Mox since probably Mox, I want to say
Mox
like
Opal
probably.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a legendary artifact that just taps to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. So for us, let's ignore all the rest of the stuff, all the other formats. For Commander, this is a 0-cost artifact that you don't even want until your commander's there.
You don't get to ramp into your commander with this.
Yeah. So, I mean, this goes also just looked like, I can't remember where it was we talked about this. I can't remember if it was our show or if we just talked about it in general. But like the Mox, Mox, all the original Mox and the Power 9 Mox.
Yes.
They're not even really that good in Commander. Like they're obviously they're good. They're going to be good no matter what. But like ramping for the 1 isn't as valuable as it is in other formats, is what I'm saying. So Mox Amber, even if it was just a regular Mox, obviously it's worth putting in your decks, but like
Yeah.
So the fact that we've got this pretty serious limitation on it, I think means that you're probably not running this card. I mean, I guess, you know what? It is a mana dork. It just doesn't ramp you. You know what
Here's
I mean?
my thoughts on Mox Amber. Open one in a draft, sell it to a standard player, and buy like half of a new commander deck.
Yeah. This is selling for, you can buy this card for like $30. It'll probably, do you think it'll go up from there? Maybe. I think someone's going to figure out a way to really make this card all it can be. Like, you know.
I'm no financier, but I know that everybody's speculating on this card. Everybody wants this card to do so much good work. So, of course, stores are going to pre-sell it at a high rate because the demand is there. My hunch is that rate, if this deck takes off and is incredible and it just is amazing and it's a 4 of in every single standard deck that there is, I mean, it can't be, though, because there's only a couple of 1-mana legendaries. Ovia, I think, in green. Like, there's very few 1-mana. So, like, that's where it's good. But I don't know.
It's legendary too. It's not like you can.
You can't.
Play,
Yeah,
like,
you
3 or
can't
4
drop 2 of them.
once.
Yeah.
I mean, you can in the same way you can with like the Mox Opals in like Modern and stuff, and like
you tap them,
chain
then you
them or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Who cares?
Yeah, but I think this card will end up being just okay and certainly not worth the price tag for Commander. I think it's more exciting for other formats.
Certainly. Let's take advantage and sell it to them.
You know what card this will go in? What's the dog? The legendary white dog? The 2/2?
Isamaru.
If you got an Isamaru deck, yeah, man, run Mox Amber in that one for sure.
Sure.
Plains, turn 1. Plains, cast Isamaru. Mox Amber, cast another 1-mana white spell. Goodbye. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
What else is next?
Okay, next up, we've got Thran Temporal Gateway. 4 generic for a legendary artifact, and the ability says 4 tap. You may put a historic permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Once again, artifact, legendaries, and sagas. Like, what is there? Like 8 sagas in the whole dang game? You couldn't have just said 4 tap, put a planeswalker or artifact? Or, I mean, I guess legend. I don't know, man.
I don't know what you want them to say. Sorry.
I don't like. I don't like historic. I don't like the fact that they like just lumped artifact in with historic.
Yeah, I know. It's whatever. I mean, all you need to know is that it's artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. That's easy.
Yeah.
I think this card's pretty decent though. It's Quicksilver Amulet, but for artifacts and obviously legendaries and sagas. But we always tend to focus on the artifacts on this just because that's what's going to come up more often than not, right? So I think you're probably going to see this pop up in a couple cool artifact decks. I think it's going to be a fine card. It's pre-selling for around $5. It'll go down from there because it's not that good.
For sure.
Next we have the Weatherlight,
Yay.
Which is so funny because like the card already exists of what is it called? Like something ship Weatherlight? Like
yes.
I wanted to say Starship Weatherlight. That's not what it is.
The Starship Enterprise.
Yeah. But so this card is just called Weatherlight. Like they couldn't call it like Weatherlight, like like restored masterpiece or like restored skyship Weatherlight, I think is what the original one was called. You know what? I have the internet right in front of me. I can just look. Yep, Skyship Weatherlight. So this one's just called Weatherlight. Like it's a legendary artifact. It's the Weatherlight. Give it a comma and put something cool after it. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Yeah, right? Like I get what you're saying.
They remade it. Like give it a cool name. No, Weatherlight. Okay,
I bet
fine.
you there was like a full day of debates on this issue.
Weatherlight.
Its name is the Weatherlight. You don't need more than that.
Why can't it just be called the Weatherlight? Even put the there, I think would have. Anyways, this is not important.
It makes alphabetizing confusing.
Yeah. So, anyways, what does this card do? It's a 4-mana legendary artifact vehicle. It's a 4/5 with flying. And it says, whenever Weatherlight deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them. Put them in your hand. Sean hates that. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, lets you dig for artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. And it has crew 3. Decent
and
little card advantage engine. If you're running a lot of, obviously, in an artifact deck, this will be pretty good. Yeah, I like it. It's fine. It's not amazing. It's not blowing my
it's fine.
Blowing my hair back, but it's solid. Obviously,
My hair is firmly in place.
Yeah, it's gonna be way.
I was
better
kind
than
of hoping the Weatherlight would kick butt. Like I think the Sky Sovereign from Kaladesh is still a cooler piece of like vehicle than this is.
Yeah.
I wanted the Weatherlight to just be the best vehicle in the game.
I know, me too. It's just it's such a storied,
Yeah.
it's a historic vehicle. Huh?
Okay. That's it for colors cards. Those are all the cards that could theoretically go on any deck. Now we're going to go down by colors. There are not too many to go. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. P.S. You're the real MVPs, the people still sticking around.
Yeah, this is the home stretch here. There are actually not that many, considering we haven't even hit the colored cards that are not legendary. But there aren't that many.
Okay, so in white, we have one. We have Daring Archaeologist, 3 in a white for a Human Artificer, 3/3. When Daring Archaeologist enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast a historic spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Daring Archaeologist.
Just gonna be
another one of that effect, which is nice.
Just another solid include in an artifact deck that has white in it. Pretty simple. Blink this guy, get all your artifacts back. It's great. Let's go to blue. Blue, Curator's Ward, 2 in a blue for an enchantment. It's an aura. You enchant a permanent. That permanent has hexproof. Then when enchanted permanent leaves the battlefield, if it was historic, draw 2 cards.
This is perfect for commanders.
It is.
Because
it really is.
Commanders, it doesn't say die or exile, it just says leave. Commanders leave all the time.
Exactly.
And we often want hexproof on our commanders, just as a little bit of extra protection so that it's wraths or bust. And we're always going to get our cards back when it eventually leaves. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot too, actually. And it's actually surprisingly hard to get an aura that gives hexproof.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of them. So Curator's Ward is I think this is solid. I like it a lot.
Me too.
Next we have
Deep Freeze, 2 in a blue for an enchant creature. Enchanted creature has base, power, and toughness 0/4. Defender, loses all other abilities, and is a blue wall in addition to other colors and types. This is another card in the vein of Imprisoned in the Moon or those sort of things where it gets to turn your enemy commander into a 0/4 wall that it neutralizes commanders without giving them the ability to get them back from the command zone. However, it is a creature, which is the worst type to turn them into because there's too many, it can just chump block, it could sack outlet. Your opponents will get their commanders back likely, but it's something. It's worth looking at.
Definitely worth looking at. Next is Precognition Field, 3 in a blue for an enchantment that says you may look at the top card of your library. You can do this at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an instant or sorcery card, and you can pay 3 to exile the top card of your library.
Interesting free spells.
Yeah, it's kind of like this ability doesn't seem like much, but it's kind of like
Future Sight.
Thank you, Future Sight. Yeah, so that card is essentially in your hand, sort of. If it's an instant or sorcery, it's even better than that, actually. So in the decks that care about this, I think this card's actually quite good. And then 3 to just piece that card off the top, and it's kind of not as good scry. Anyways.
Yeah, not as good scry.
Yeah. Anyways, it's closer to what you want, that card that you want, Sean, the one in a blue, scry 1, right? Is that what you want?
No, I want blue X, scry X, instant.
But didn't you want something that's reusable too?
Oh, I do like reusable scry for sure.
Yeah. Anyways.
Being able to look at the top card of your library is kind of like free scry to the top whenever you want.
Yeah, sort of.
So if you're going to spend one turn scrying to the top, the next turn scrying to the bottom, that's the same as exiling every other turn.
Yeah, why not? Okay, yeah, what's next?
Unwind. 2 in a blue, instant. Counter target non-creature spell, untap up to 3 lands. I think we finally got another great commander for our format. We like our counter spells to be as cheap as possible. 3 is not as cheap as possible, but most of the spells we care about are non-creature spells. Very often it's like some big instant or some big enchantment that's going to like end our plan, maybe a wrath, and then we get to untap up to 3 lands. So this is like mini rewind, but it's a little cheaper, and we do get to untap those lands, and it's a spell type that is the most relevant to counter for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. I think this card's good. I think you might see a lot of people replacing negates with unwind, even though it is one more.
Yeah.
You'll see that happen a bit, I think. So yeah,
because you get to counter another spell after it.
Yeah, exactly. Very valuable. Can even net you mana if you have a land that creates more than one.
Yeah.
On to black.
You take this one.
Yeah, this is a little fun one. Final Parting. 3 black for a sorcery. It says search your library for 2 cards, put one in your hand and the other in your graveyard, then shuffle your library. We've seen this ability. We've seen this card basically be printed in green and black before. I think it's called like Jared's something.
Yeah.
And it costs 1 less. But in the mono color, so it can go in any deck with black in it, it costs just 1 more. It's 5 mana for a tutor, but it also, putting that card in your graveyard is very good for black decks mostly. So you're actually tutoring for 2 things here, really. Yep, I think this will go in a lot of decks. It's not the most efficient, but you're getting decent value from it, I think.
If you're going to pay 4 for a tutor already, paying 1 extra to also throw a thing in your graveyard is amazing.
Like tutor for a reanimator spell and put the biggest creature in your deck in your graveyard.
Yeah?
Like that's pretty great.
That's not bad.
Right? Like
that's not bad at all.
Get Animate Dead. So when you have 7 mana, get Animate Dead and like, I don't know, whatever massive, like get some huge Eldrazi or something.
Yeah. That flavor text though, huh?
Oh, sleep now, brother. That is one gift I can give you. Oh, so she kills her brother, I guess. Josie.
Yikes.
Peace.
Yikes.
Okay, what's next in black?
Okay, next we've got Divest. It's a single black. Target player reveals their hand. You choose an artifact or creature card. That player discards that card.
It's just a new screaming ball guy. That's all.
That's what I'm talking about. New screaming ball guy. That's great.
Yeah, we got a new screaming ball guy. That's all. That's the only reason that's in there. This card we're not going to play this card. But look at him. He's a ball guy.
Fully bald, fully screaming.
Fully screaming. He's got a little friend coming out of his, or reaching into his head. It looks like a little elf thing.
I think that elf thing is taking the spell out of his brain.
It's a flitter sprite.
Ooh.
Flitter sprites collect unusually valuable things: coins, baby teeth, and memories. Interesting.
Wow.
Terrifying. For real, though, Thalid Soothsayer is another card we get here. 3 and a black. It's a fungus. That's a 2/3. And has the ability of pay 2, sack a creature, draw a card. That ability is a little underrated, I think. We saw this recently in a game we played where we were like, that ability is pretty good. Draws you lots of cards. And in this type of deck especially... you're going to throw this in your fungus deck, I think, and you're going to be able to draw lots of cards off of your saplings and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay,
Let's go to red.
We're on to red. And
we got Jaya's Immolating Inferno, X red for a legendary sorcery. Again, you can only cast these if you have an artifact. No, it has to be legendary now. See, now they don't care about historic. Man, get out of here.
No, it's legendary. It's all about legendary now.
Yeah, I know, but like, why not historic sorceries? Or like,
because then it'd be too easy. You just need an artifact. That's too easy.
It's really in my craw about this. I don't know why.
It really is in your craw.
I'm very resistant to this. Anyway, Jaya's Immolating Inferno deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. That is a lot of targets for a single X. In a multiplayer game, if we're able to just be like, okay, red, X to like you, and you, that's serious. I mean, this is going in Neheb Toot Sweet.
Toot Sweet. And this is kind of the new formatting for the new rule change with the targeting of planeswalkers and stuff. It doesn't say creature or player anymore. You'll never see that printed again. It will now always just say 2 targets or a target or 3 target. And the targets, as long as they can be a player, a planeswalker, and a creature. So a target is a target. I think this card is going to be good in the decks that want X big red X spells. This is a good one, a great one.
My kind of deck.
Yep, definitely your kind of deck. And that's the only red spell we're talking about. And the only greens, I mean, whatever. We don't even really need to talk about this guy that much. Thorn Elemental. This is a reprint, actually, of a really old card.
Yeah.
7 mana for a 7/7. It's 5 in green. It's a Thorn Elemental that says you may have Thorn Elemental assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked.
Fine.
It's 7 damage is a lot, and sometimes that's all you need to get through. So, pretty solid. Yeah, that's it. Planeswalkers are all we need to talk about, and then we're done here.
Okay, now the Planeswalkers, there's 2 that are only from the pre-con Planeswalker decks, and there's 3 that you can open in packs. Originally, it looked like the ones from pre-con decks would be better for Commander. They'd be cost a little higher and have more relevant abilities, and they would be cheaper overall because people aren't putting 4 in standard decks. Let's see if that remains true in this set. First up is Karn, Scion of Urza.
Oh wait, sorry. There is one more green card. I'm sorry. Grow from the Ashes. Wanted to mention this one real quick. It's 2 and a green for a sorcery with Kicker 2. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it in the battlefield. Shuffle your library. So it's rampant growth, but it doesn't enter tapped. And then if you kick it and cost 5, you get 2. And again, they don't come in tapped. So
they don't come in tapped. I missed that.
So just note that, right? Just going forward.
That's great. So you've effectively spent 2 for the first part and 3 for both parts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is pretty good, I think. I think it's not bad.
That's pretty good. I like that.
So now we're done. Now we can go on to Karn. We can see this legendary planeswalker.
Right. A lot of people talking about Karn for standard. I don't listen too closely, but they think he's good.
Let's see if he's any good in Commander.
4 generic for 5 loyalty. 3 abilities. You get +1. Reveal the top 2 cards of your library. An opponent chooses 1. Put that into your hand and exile the other with a silver counter on it. So you get the worst of your next 2 cards, but that is card draw. So, I mean, the fact that your opponent gets 1 means you probably always get the land. I don't know. -1. Put a card you own with a silver counter on it from exile into your hand. So you do eventually get to draw the chosen ones. If it's super good, then you'll still get away. You'll get it. -2. Create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Oh, it could be big.
Yeah, it could be big. No ultimate. Interesting to point that out. It's +1, -1, and then
just
-2.
value.
So no real ultimate here. Just the value. This is the most expensive card in the set. Going for just around $35 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this card is not that great in Commander, just because obviously drawing cards and card advantage is great, but Planeswalkers are hard to defend. We know this, and the fact that they're you can make 0/0 colorless constructs. You need to be pretty set up before that really protects Karn. They don't fly or anything. I don't know. It's fine. It's obviously not made for Commander, though.
Like a Mox Amber, sell it and buy some Commander cards.
Exactly. Next, we have Teferi. He's back. Hero of Dominaria. 3 white, blue for a legendary Planeswalker Teferi for 4 loyalty. +1. Draw a card. At the beginning of the next end step, untap 2 lands. Huh? Nice. -3. Put target non-land permanent into its owner's library 3rd from the top. So I can't remember the name of that spell, but that's already a spell that exists. Yeah. And then his ultimate is -8, so you're quite a ways away from that. But you get an emblem with whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent and opponent controls.
Now that's an emblem.
Now that is an emblem. That is a crazy emblem. It's reminiscent of the of Venser's emblem, which I think is kind of what they were actually going for here.
So we'll notice that if you have doubling season, you get to ultimate right away on casting, which is pretty annoying.
Actually, he has no real. I mean, I guess the -3 could technically do it, but in Commander it doesn't really. There's no real way for him to protect himself in Commander, which is a very big downside. So you already have to be set up to get this guy out there. But other than that, I mean, if you do, this card's pretty good. It has effects Commander wants in that the drawing of the cards on tapping lands is usually pretty good. You're so far away from the emblem, though. I don't know. I think you can probably find less fragile ways to draw cards.
I agree, but I think he's going to get jammed in every Atraxa deck, no problem.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying that these cards are usually just pretty decent in those types of decks anyways, the Super Friends decks and so on. We got one more here.
Jaya Ballard. Yay, she's back. 2, red. Legendary Planeswalker, Jaya. So she starts with 5, so 5 mana for 5 loyalty, and you can +1, add red, spend this mana only to cast instant or sorcery spells. Okay. Or +1, so 2+1 abilities. Discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many cards. That's very interesting in red. Red likes to do that. And then -8, you get an emblem with, you may cast instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard. If a card cast this way will be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Great. That's a cool emblem.
Yeah, basically just every instant and sorcery gets flashback for its original cost, which is pretty good.
Forever.
You gonna put this in like the decks that really want instant and sorceries, your epic experiments and things like that? I don't see it. I don't think so personally.
I don't know. Because if you add 3 right away, then
she only costs 2 essentially.
It's like she costs 2, so you're still able to do other stuff, and it does. I mean, your opponents may target it, but they will have to target it. So it does like. Sometimes the lightning rod is a good thing to kind of draw hate away from you or something else. I'm not sure. If I crack one, I'm not going to go buy one, but if I open one, I think I'll put her in a deck or 2.
I don't know exactly what deck you want this in, though. I guess it's something
I want to run her in Neheb.
Yeah, Neheb, she's probably... Yeah, you know what? Neheb makes the most sense, I would say.
Yeah.
The discarding up to 3 and drawing that many, that's a good ability in some decks, too. Like if you... Duretti, maybe... I mean,
yeah.
but if you have Duretti as your Planeswalker commander, he kind of already does this. Like, although having redundancy is good. I don't know. I'm not like most times when we do these reviews, the Planeswalkers are always a little underwhelming for our format, even though they are big and flashy and kind of exciting.
Certainly underwhelming.
All right, well, let's talk about the ones from the pre-con decks, and then we're done.
Okay, so in theory, these ones should be for us.
Right. Okay, so let's take a look at the first one. Chandra, Bold Pyromancer. It's kind of... Is it not a little disappointing they didn't make another Jaya Ballard? Like, we don't get to see Jaya all that often. Why? And you're making another red Planeswalker. Why not make a Jaya, man? Come on.
I know.
Anyways, Chandra... We got another Chandra here. Chandra, Bold Pyromancer. 4 red for a 5 loyalty Chandra. +1. Add red. Chandra, Bold Pyromancer deals 2 damage to target player. Okay? -3, Chandra deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Okay. And then -7, she deals 10 damage to target player and each creature and planeswalker they control. I feel like this is just a mishmash of other boring Chandra planeswalkers I've already seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like, this, no matter how many times you mix around the abilities on planeswalkers like this, I don't care about them, and no one ever does.
Yeah. That's too bad.
It's too bad. Whatever. Chandra kind of sucks.
Oh, well. And then lastly, we've got the Teferi, the other Teferi Timebender. 4 white, blue, legendary Teferi. Starts with 5 loyalty, and you can +2 untap up to 1 target artifact or creature. Okay. -3, you gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. Card draw.
Draw 2 cards is good, yeah.
-9, take 1 extra turn. That's like the worst ultimate I've ever seen.
Yeah, like, it's not that good.
We could achieve that so much easier, so many other ways.
Yeah, exactly.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like it's 3 turns away.
It's
so
only 3 turns. Yeah.
But that's only with untapping. Like that's all you get by waiting there.
And then your Teferi's gone.
Oh, I don't like it. Not for us.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, would I like this in my deck that cares about untapping and stuff? I don't even think so. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. 6 mana is a lot though.
I do like this guy. Looks like he's young Teferi.
He does, doesn't he?
Like he's come back. He's come back from the young time.
I don't know the story too well. I've been trying to keep up on the story of Dominaria via podcast, but the podcast that I like that reads the stories hasn't updated in a while.
You just have to read it the hard way, Andy.
I know.
With your eyeballs.
I like to read it. I like to listen to it on the go, like the audiobook version.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, that's it.
We did it. This is certainly the longest episode we've ever done.
2 hours and 30 minutes at this current time, yes.
Yes, minus editing for bathroom breaks, of which there could have been 2, but I'm really holding it.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I could stand to go again.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for listening this far. You're the real MVP. If you've listened this far, You're extra special, and we should get a secret code word for the people who listen this far.
Yeah. The code word is...
We don't have it. How about, what's that blue Leviathan? I already forgot.
Hang on, I got it right here.
Drin Vona?
Slin Voda.
Slin Voda. Yeah. Slim Shady Voda.
Slin Voda's second album.
Yeah, that's it. Slin Voda's second
Password
album.
to what? I don't know. Overall, what do you think of this set? What are your overall, now that we've gone through sort of everything that matters?
Overall, as always, I'm very excited to draft it. I love draft. For Commander, I don't think there's a ton of hits. Like, I don't think there's a lot of those, like, colorless cards that are like Paradox Engine or... The sun that just came out. I already forgot the name of it.
Yeah, the Immortal Sun.
Immortal Sun. Like, I don't see any of those type of cards in there, but there's like a good utility. And I think just, man, what an embarrassment of riches in Commanders. Like, there's something for everybody now. I really am curious. I think Brawl might be fun with this much variety. They're really starting it off right.
Yeah, it could be. I gotta say, like, considering how much it seems like we should get in this set, because of so much stuff is legendary and all this stuff cares about legendaries. The legendary sorceries are pretty much a massive letdown for Commander.
Yeah.
The sagas are like the jury's out on those. We'll see. I think they're going to be okay, but not great.
I think yeah, okay, I agree.
And then I think a lot of these multicolored sorceries, like legendaries, the monocolored legendaries are whatever, right? Like, there's one or two that maybe wants to be a commander, but other than that, no. But there's some good 99 inclusions, don't get me wrong. But as far as even the multicolored commanders go, like, I did an article last week for Wizards Tower, and I felt like there was like about 9 or 10 that were worth talking about.
Yes. So I have the article this week, and I tried to really bend my brain and do a few more of them. Like, I tried to reach deep, and I'm like, what are some sideways builds you can do?
Yeah.
They're out there. Out there. But
yeah,
I'm curious. I don't think this is going to rock our format very much, but it's always nice.
Yeah, we're going to see a few more Muldrotha decks, and
yeah,
you know what I mean? You're going to see some stuff like that, but I'm not saying I'm disappointed. I'm not. I love it when a set comes out with a lot of stuff that our format can use. Yeah. It's just that I'm like, oh, yeah, it's interesting. We didn't get any of these, like, I don't think we got any, like, maybe except for Muldrotha, I'd say we didn't get any, like, 10 out of 10 for Commander cards.
I'll probably put it on Battle of the Brews. I'm going to do a Multani deck.
Ooh, okay.
I already drafted up a first draft of it. I was obsessed.
Wow. Okay, great. You know, we didn't talk about it, but one thing that card's so great at is that, like, you could just build an artifact recursion deck with it, or just an enchantment, or just a planeswalker. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to do everything. It's amazing.
Well, you're talking about Muldrotha? No, I'm talking Multani, the mono green.
Oh, Multani. Sorry, I said Muldrotha.
Yeah.
Multani, also very cool, though. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, like, overall, I'm happy with the set. I'm happy with the stuff that we've been given. It's, I'd say, like, what, 8 out of 10?
Oh, yeah.
Solid 8 out of 10. Yeah.
7, I say 7. I'm gonna
maybe
say 7.
Yeah, maybe closer to 7.
Because I'm not wowed. I'm not
if
wowed.
If we're doing
by
halves, we're doing 7.5. But 7's still good.
7's still very good. This is a very fun set.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to draft it.
Cool. All right. I can't wait to get brewing with these cards and, draft them up and have a fun time. So,
and check out our Kickstarter, everybody. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. If you haven't, help us get those stretch goals, which makes the show even better. Share it if you haven't already. It's really helpful. Thank you for everyone who has done it again, though, so far. It's just been amazing. So,
gearing up for that final push.
And no Brews News segment this week because this show is over 2 hours long. So, but stay tuned for next week. We'll definitely have one after the episode. All right, guys. See you next week.
If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.